Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. I'm Tiki, and I am sadness.
Hello, I'm BlueDragonFive, and I am very, very angry that other movies aren't as awesome as this movie.
Hello, I'm Monkey, and I'm sure. What was that? What was that? Okay, it was just it was nothing. It looks like a calendar, but I don't know, it might have moved.
I can't believe you guys are talking about this movie like that. There were so many things. Oh, I'm disgusted. This is England DG.
I didn't even say anything about the movie. Are you accusing me? I don't know if I can take this. Oh my god.
What do you do? Get your act together!
You always read into
You're not
things.
helping, Anger. You're not helping! Oh my god! Oh my god, what am I gonna do? What am I?
Don't make me come over there!
I'm quitting!
You get back here, right now! We're discussing things. Get back here, you little snip! Get back here!
So, never mind.
And that is why
tonight-
Disney didn't hire us.
And tonight, we're talking Mr. Banks. Alright. Guys, that was beautiful. Oh my god, that was amazing.
Get on.
Everything okay, Monkey?
He's making me peeved!
Okay, we don't have to keep up. We don't have to be in character.
I know.
this entire
Okay,
podcast.
good. I know.
That'd
No, I
be a
was
really
thinking,
interesting
as
improv experiment if we did something like that. A Monkey Business Review Corporation.
God damn.
Just saying.
I was thinking, because I'm, Monkey, then maybe I should be Riley, but he said emotions.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even connect. Yeah, monkey. It's a monkey.
Yeah.
In my 2 times watching this movie, I never once made that connection.
I made it like the first time I saw this movie. Like I think the second time they call her Monkey.
I miss Goofball Island.
And of course, Monkey, that was actually kind of a part of the advertising campaign, and we saw that clip with Goofball Island and everything with the big monkey. I can't believe I never made that comparison.
I missed that clip, so whatever.
Alright, anyways. So how y'all doing tonight?
Well,
Alright, right on. So, Monkey, was there rain in Southern California?
I think I heard there was a drizzle at some point, but...
There's a little bit of rain in Northern California. We got a little bit here. A little bit. Good
Congrats.
hour or so. Yeah. Good for us. How you doing, England?
Doing great.
Alright, right on. So, we are obviously here to kind of break down Inside Out, and before we do that, we figured we'd do a little bit of an appetizer, a little morsel, a little mini podcast before the
I hope
podcast.
it's spicy.
It's hot, as in hot like lava, because
Oh,
it's
good.
lava. Yes. Alright, so this is obviously the traditional Pixar short that they played before, before the film. So, gentlemen, what was your initial reaction when you saw lava?
I loved it. I loved it. It was great.
Because I get the feeling that 3 of you guys really enjoyed it, right?
I've
was
already
good.
said it's my favorite Pixar short ever, and I
Alright.
kind of stand by it.
So I'll give you some meat to chew on. I thought it was good. I mean, it was
Yeah.
quaint and it was enjoyable. Some of the reviews I've read and I've heard other people rave about it, and that's fine. Everybody's different. I actually did not like the fact that they were obviously copying, and his name slipped my mind. It's a 2-letter last name, but the guy who did Under the Rainbow with the ukulele.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he passed away a few years ago, and I'm sorry his name slips my mind right now because I really like his stuff. But the fact that it was so obviously a tribute to that style immediately took me out of it. Had I not been aware of the original, what they were trying to go for, I think maybe I would have reacted better to it. But
So you and I basically have the exact opposite reaction to it.
well, go on with your reaction. I mean, I just like I said, it kind of took me out of it, and I the first time I saw it, I actually didn't remember. So when I was reading, that's how little it impacted me. I watched the whole thing, but I couldn't remember. I was reading reviews, and I'm like, I don't remember that happening. And when I've seen it 3 times now, and I didn't think it really didn't get to me until the 3rd time. But it just didn't do it for me. I don't know what else to say, and I'm sorry.
You don't have to apologize. It's your opinion, by all means.
I thought it was really clever. You know, I love just kind of this conceit that once our volcanoes kind of rise, once both volcanoes are kind of about, then the other one can't see the other one gets turned around. I thought it was a brilliant idea. At first, it looks like the short's going to end really darkly. But it actually has a really great net.
When I first saw this and it gets to that point, I'm like, shit, this is depressing. Is it going to end like this?
It was almost like a Red's Dream ending. I was like wondering, are they going to go that far?
I compare it to the Twilight Zone, personally.
Right.
Well, I mean, also, it's like, but there was time!
There was time now, but I'm about to die!
Right, it was one of those clever bits.
So, me, personally, this isn't... It's probably one of my least favorite Pixar shorts, but I love the narrator. I really enjoy his voice and the music of it. I don't know about this guy England is mentioning, but yeah, I think for me it's just the story, the basic premise wasn't my kind of thing.
Well, I mean, obviously, with my first reaction, I'm Tiki. I love the South Pacific Polynesian kind of stuff. I'm in love with it. I mean, I have this weird thing with, like, anything and everything that's related to an island, I'll just instantly enjoy. And so with this, I was just like, from, the ukulele, it's like I don't really have any sort of personal attachment to that style or anything. I just like ukulele music. I just love Hawaiian music in general. So, so when I heard it, I was just instantly kind of drawn in, and I have that song on my iPod, and it's one of my go-to songs now, and and it totally works as a song, as a 5-minute sort of narrative song, and and the thing that really impresses me the most about it is how it manages to be both like an incredibly simple love story, like the most simple love story you could possibly like think of, and then at the same time it has like this incredibly complex like storyline when it comes to the life cycle of a volcano and seeming like a time span of literally like thousands of years and everything. So that's what really got to me.
Animals like dolphins don't seem to evolve. Is that how it is, really? Or?
I don't know.
I mean, I'm not an expert on this either, so maybe I have no right to say that.
Well, the guy's name was I'm sorry to go back to that, but I guess you guys haven't heard of him. It's Israel. I'm gonna so screw this up.
I think I know who you mean. The guy who did Somewhere Over the Rainbow, right?
Holy, yeah, he did Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Oh, I thought you said you hadn't heard of him.
I just didn't know who you were referring.
Yeah. He did
referencing.
Yeah, he did the.
Okay, I know who you mean.
And the producer of it, the music producer, has said flat out that this was a tribute to him.
Sure.
And you can hear it if you go look it up. You can Google ukulele over the rainbow and hear the song. I mean, it's so obviously him. But again,
what's the problem with it?
Like I said, I like the original song so much. I mean, it came out in '93. I've been listening to it for a long time. It kind of took me out of the story. It was just kind of like, oh, this isn't original. I can't explain it. I wish I could. Because I feel like I should be able to.
So I'm kind of like a big music guy myself, and I've definitely like, for example, the Pixie song "Where Is My Mind." I can like literally think of 3 or 4 different songs just off the top of my head that are like kind of rip-offs of that song that use the exact same sort of verse-chorus structure. So I can see where you're going with that in terms of like the song just kind of throwing you off, but is the song so similar that it's literally just like a lift of Somewhere Over the Rainbow with different lyrics?
No, not that at all. It's its own original song.
It's just super similar.
Well, the chord structure, the way that the ukulele was played, like I said, it just took me out of it. I couldn't stop hearing Israel's song in my head while this song was playing, and I was having trouble distancing myself from the Israel song while watching this. I know it's a silly point. It took me out of it when I saw it the first time. Like I said, by the third time I liked it. I love the visuals. I love the ending is spectacular. How they have a mountain with then they managed to make it look like a realistic mountain with the with his
Right,
arm wrapped around her when they wrapped
Oh, I
her
love
out.
the arm thing. I love the
I mean, that just blew my mind because it actually looked like it could be an actual volcanic mountain.
and it's in the shape of a heart too.
Yeah. What's interesting, and this I can't claim credit for this. T-Cool came up with it, but did you see what T-Cool found, Tiki? Because I know you're into the one Pixar theory.
Yeah. Well, okay. Let me see. It's no man. How do you pronounce the name?
And
Nomanison
Nomanison?
Island, I think.
Yeah, and so it's
Yeah.
basically it's a track in the score, and it's also I believe the island in lava, right?
It's the final track at the closing of Lava is called Nomansian Island or Nomanison Island.
Nomanison?
Nomanison, yeah. But
It's
that's
actually like the fourth or fifth track on the Inside Out soundtrack.
the
It's a soundtrack that they play when they're introducing all the personality islands.
You're not thinking of You're getting first month. I thought you guys talking about the Omnidroid Island, but you're something else.
No.
well,
That
that
actually
is-
That's
ties
the one
into
I'm
it.
referring to, but
Sorry.
I'm sorry, England. Go ahead.
well, the theory is that it is the same island as what appeared in the Incredibles.
Yeah, that's the Omnidroid Island.
yeah,
Right,
that's what I
right.
thought you were getting at. Yeah.
Yeah, two volcanoes, etc. And I've looked at the pictures, and it's possible. it really is. The layout of the islands are similar. I mean, if you imagine them sinking into the ocean and spreading out, which they obviously showed in lava happens.
Right, yeah.
So, anyway, I thought it was interesting.
Okay, cool.
Well, I'll tell you this: the two bits aside from that great arm reveal at the end, this really could grab it again with the visuals. It was so aesthetically beautiful. I love the passage of time to the top of the volcano, all the clouds passing over it.
That was probably my favorite scene. That
was
might be one of my
mind-blowing.
favorite Pixar moments, like, ever.
It looks so beautiful. It's like they take the technology from up and they did their cloud stuff. And it's like they've plussed it even more after the years that have passed since then. It's like, oh my god, it's so perfect. That looked almost like completely live action. It's fantastic.
Mhm.
And also, I just love because it's kind of prepping us for next year, I guess. But I love just kind of the nostalgia I felt being underwater, seeing like the surface can remind me a lot of Nemo.
Yeah, I can see that.
Just kind of seeing that moon shot from Nemo,
Yeah,
but
you have
the sun.
that turtle who looks kind of like Crush.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all connected.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm biased. I'm completely biased when it comes to, like, the South Pacific kind of stuff, but, I mean, I don't know. For me, I can't think of a Pixar short that I like better than it. Just in terms of, like, how much I like the song, how much I play the song, and just how strong the visuals are, how much of a standalone piece it is. It just really, the whole package fits together well for me, but I completely understand it's not everyone's cup of tea. It's just obviously, like, I'm a big Tiki guy, so it definitely, like I said, it was just like, oh, hey, Tiki, you like South Pacific stuff? Well, here. And, this is just a sneak preview. You're getting Manoa in a couple years. Yeah. Is it 2016 or 2017 that Manoa comes out? I don't remember.
I think 16.
Yeah,
Well, no, 16
I-
Zootopia. Well, wait,
Yeah,
there-
isn't it
more-
Zootopia and Moana? Both of
I'm
them?
not sure.
think so.
It's possible because Disney's taking a year off.
Yeah, I think
So
I
they
remember
could have been
they were
doing
like,
what
this is the
Pixar
year
did
we
in
got 2 Pixar
2014.
films and no Disney ones, and next year we have no... Wait, 1 Pixar film.
Well, next year we have Finding Dory.
Well, they
Right.
have other things lined up. I'm not sure how the years are lining up for that, but I could be wrong. I'm not sure.
Moana's 2016,
Okay.
and Finding Dory's 2016. Next year's
Yeah.
going to be big. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we got.
Finding Dory's going to break the bank. You just watch.
I'm just already anticipating how much Minions is going to bake the break, too. Bake
Oh,
the
yeah.
break? What the hell am I saying?
See,
yeah.
Yeah, we'll
just
see how
think
that goes.
I think Minions is just an excuse for a double feature. Go see Minions and then go see Inside Out again. And that's the way I'm going to look at it.
I like the way he thinks.
But are you going to pay for that second movie, or are you just going to sneak into it?
Oh, no, I'm going to pay for it. And there's a reason why I want to pay for it. Right now, with the way that Inside Out is tracking, it's going to unseat Frozen as the top
Ooh.
grossing.
Oh,
Wow, really?
3 weeks
Wow.
in. 3 weeks into
Oh,
domestic.
right.
Whoa.
I
that's pretty
approve.
surprising.
That's big.
Actually.
Yeah, go check out Box Office Mojo. Inside Out has been out for 3 weeks. It's already made almost half of what Frozen made for the entire domestic run.
Hmm.
It still has
Oh, that
not.
And
makes
yet
me
it never beat Jurassic World at the box office. That tells you something about Jurassic World, too.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. Box Office Mojo actually has a page that they've dedicated that says Inside Out versus Frozen. So the people that are running it recognize that the Frozen track record is, if it tracks the same way that Frozen did once it gets its full international release, it's going to blow Frozen out of the water. And that makes me so happy because maybe they'll reopen the Wonders of Life Pavilion instead of putting Frozen everywhere at the park.
Oh, you know
So, here's what we need
they'll
to
put
do.
it in imagination, but that's for a different podcast.
We need to find one really rich guy and convince him to go to the movie and, like Fairly Odd Parents style, have him buy
God.
seats for all his bags of money. That's what we need to do. That's if you want that to happen. Bring your
his
Congress.
money vault.
Warren Buffett, come on, man, help us out.
Gates, come on, man.
So that Make-A-Wish weekend, right?
Yeah.
All right, are we about done with lava?
I'm done.
All right. Okay, so let's transition into Inside Out. I guess we should probably talk about the film's backstory first off, and I guess BlueDragonFive, you have a lot to say about that. So.
It's maybe not as much as I might have hyped up to you. It's really good stuff, though. It's really interesting stuff. I mean, you know me. I love the behind-the-scenes features on a DVD or something. I always love getting into like the making of the movie. And here you go, a really interesting background. I just found out listening to tons of interviews because Pete Docter's kind of growing into probably my. It's really hard for me to pick one over the other, but he might be my favorite Pixar director. He does really good work. I really love this guy.
Second favorite be Brad Bird.
I know it's really hard to pick one or the other, and they're all great. I can't say any of them are bad or anything. They're all fantastic.
I almost look at Brad Bird as his own thing, to tell you.
I know that's the thing. It's like it's hard to put him into the category too.
I know.
But, yeah, but basically, whenever he stops by, and he does give insight on the movies, like this one too. I mean, he is around for the movies also. It's kind of hard to say like how much. Anyway, points. Pete Docter is become one of my favorites because he's doing some fantastic films. Obviously, and this one's a testament to really kind of get like redefining the Pixar method in a way. So basically, this is a real personal project for Pete Docter. You know, it was inspired by his daughter Ellie. Now, Ellie, as you can imagine, is was Ellie from Up. And
right.
The little kid version of Ellie from the beginning of that movie is pretty much characterized and voiced by and acts a lot like Ellie at that time the movie was made, at that age. So when she grew up to like age 11, that's pretty much Riley in this movie. So that's pretty much the same character. Now,
Pixar theory.
you. Okay, anyway, so enough about Pixar. Okay, anyway, so basically.
I'm just kidding.
Again, it's a personal project for Pete Docter. It's inspired by Ellie, but also it's inspired Ellie's transition and also Pete Docter's experience and emotions moving a lot as a kid. And Pete Docter's a guy growing up, and even to this day, he always got a lot of shyness, some anxieties when he was younger. And basically, all of this sparked an idea. Basically, the feeling when he was young, kind of Ellie's age at the time this movie was made, that this feeling of kind of being judged by people when you're a new kid in new school, and just kind of that during that transitional process emotionally, and you'd have this moment of wondering what's going on inside their heads, what's going on inside your head. Basically, the idea of wondering what's going on inside the people's heads that may be judging you or yourself. Like, what am I thinking in that moment?
Oh yeah.
That's where the genesis of the idea came from. Then the idea kind of found itself when Pete Docter was talking to a lot of his Up alumni, such as Jonas Riviera and Ronnie Del Carmen. Ronnie Del Carmen, by the way, fantastic story, man. That's not even just with Pixar. I mean, he's done work with Batman even. He's done a lot of directing and storyboarding for Batman. So, also many other animated features. I believe maybe a little bit of DreamWorks too. I'm not quite sure, but there's a long list of stuff he's done. He's also done some comics too. Any points. So they get the idea of like caricaturing the emotions and kind of expanding it from there. That's where the idea came from. Like, let's go inside the mind. What would it be? Let's just do it kind of Seven Dwarfs style, make it like kind of the personified emotions, and let's expand them. That's where all the comedy will come from, and just kind of the analysis.
And thus, untitled Pixar project that goes inside the
The
mind.
untitled Pixar movie that takes you inside the mind.
Man, I heard that. I was thinking, okay, Pixar's doing Inception. It's going to be awesome.
Okay.
I was there when they announced it.
Actually, in a way, this really is kind of Pixar's Inception. I can totally see that.
From the beginning, when I heard that title, I was like, okay, I'm sold.
I never even considered that, but yeah, there's a lot of layers to this movie. There's like, you know, the subconscious and the inner thoughts and whatever, and yeah,
Well,
I can totally subscribe to that.
Well, speaking of Inception is going inside the mind.
Whoa! Sorry.
So as you can imagine, with any Pixar film,
Think of like oh my god! Now I want someone to like redub the entirety of Inside Out with the Inception soundtrack.
when they're in the abstract chambers, play the Inception, play the Dream is Collapsing soundtrack. Anyway, so
I want that to be a thing now, internet.
so with any Pixar movie, any great animated movie, they do tons of research. In this case, tons of psychological research. They interview professors, teachers. They're finding out like all the intricacies of the mind, doing a lot of psychological study, and of course that gets. I found this out today when I was listening to some interviews. Apparently, they even went to like an egg farm just to get kind of the research down for like when how they would store all the memories.
Okay, that's cool.
Which I thought was really awesome too. And so also basically they study like the science of emotions and mental development. Of course, mental development being a very key role in how the story is structured. And with that research, they determined that basically Pete Docter's original ideas is really spot on because what character would you explore a psychological development with if you were going to move them? Maybe like an 11 to 17-year-old girl would be the perfect psychological mold for this sort of transitioning story necessity. So that's where they kind of sell. Okay, 11-year-old girl works perfectly. Pete, you're right on the money there. That's what they're saying there. So many drafts and ideas, like any film, especially with Pixar, they get many drafts, many ideas, are kind of tossed around. There were some different ideas we didn't see play out in the movie, such as it was going to be set during Thanksgiving, instead of like the whole maze of the mind. It was going to be like they're going to be idea fields. It was going to be like farming, like idea fields.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, originally, there was going to be some of that in there. Also, there was going to be
another Christopher Nolan thing.
Interesting. There's going to be. You're right. And interestingly, there was going to be a bit that was kind of similar to I remember the original premise, one of the original pitches for Monsters Inc., where you're going to see Riley grow older.
Oh, okay.
So that was another idea that was toyed around. Anyway, so I guess they kind of simplify that. As any movie, they trim out the excess elements, kind of get it down to the prime story, and of course, like Pixar, they have the big 11th hour change. Like the big thing they realize, okay, we got to restructure this, we got to fix it, we got to give the Pixar charms. Like not a Pixar movie if you're working on it if you don't sweat at one point during the production,
Right.
So there was a big change to the story. I'm not sure if Tiki, you might have heard about this. I'm not sure if any of you guys heard about this, but
I'm not sure. I don't think I have.
So here was the big story change, the big 11th hour change that shaped the whole movie. I was almost not going to say it wasn't Black Friday level disaster or anything, but it was a big problem. It had the premise with the emotions and everything. The big change was that the original pairing of like the emotions that get lost in the mind,
right? And
you have to have a little buddy journey and kind of give us our ultimate revelation. Originally, it was joy and fear. That was the original pairing.
Okay. Right.
And that led to a big problem. There was no real third act because of that. It's basically they couldn't come up with like how to get themselves out. Basically, the first two acts I can assume were pretty similar, but of course, some alterations to the second act, but essentially this had no way out of like what they've kind of dug themselves into, and then Pete Docter realized this, and he had almost a breakdown. He had a big crisis during this moment.
Boy.
It was not so again, Pete Docter at this point was concerned with maybe this idea we came up with, maybe it's not enough to go on for an entire film. Just having that realization when you're 3 years into like 3 years into like I believe like a 4-year production, if I'm right. Maybe he actually said it might have been 5, but I think it's 4 though. Could be wrong. The point is, it says like 3 years. You're heavy deep into production. Again, you're like towards like the last act of the movie, in like getting it finished and everything, getting it planned and everything. So like he basically has a crisis here. So basically, he goes out for a walk, and he's pretty much he's there's all this looming fear about being fired, and not even just being fired, like being fired, having to leave the production, have to hand it over to someone else. He has this long walk. He just wants to kind of think things through, and because this was a personal and ambitious film, because he felt justified by taking this risk for this film idea after Up. Obviously, as you can imagine, with the success of Up, you can get away with something a little more personal, a little more challenging, and this was a really challenging film for Pixar.
Yeah, exactly, and I feel like Up really was kind of the first Pixar movie to really break a mold in a way in terms of, not necessarily, like, because I've always said this, but in terms of Up, it's like, beforehand, if you think about it, Pixar's been, the world from the viewpoint of toys, from bugs, from monsters, from fish, from superheroes, from anthropomorphic cars, okay, sure,
from robots in the future.
And rats. And then Up comes along, and it's like, if you want to look at it, it's like, oh, it's the world from an old person's point of view. I guess you can go that way with it, but in a way, it really was the first Pixar movie to really kind of push that kind of traditional mold and be like, here is something that's completely original, and just, like, we're just going to present you with something that you just would, like, it just came straight from the imagination of Doctor.
So Pete Docter essentially had, like, he felt, he convinced himself, again, the guy's a little neurotic like all of us are deep down, a little shyness, a lot of anxiety, as you can imagine, with a film you're 3 years into production with that was pretty much sold on your idea. He basically felt that all his previous successes were just purely luck, and his luck had ran out. He thought, like, oh, it's a miracle those got off the ground. He's really getting worried at this point. Again, he's really considering leaving Pixar, is handing over to someone else. That's a big deal.
Oh, man.
Especially when you're that deep in the production. It's happened on other Pixar films, bear in mind, like Brave and Brave and Ratatouille even. Ratatouille was a
right.
Yeah. It's not even Cars 2, but again, we're not going to get into the whole Cars 2 thing again. We're focused on this. So the point is, he's contemplating leaving Pixar, but then in this walk, this is the important part, he experienced kind of a sadness over what he'd missed, and through the thing, he discovered, like, the relation to the emotions. Like, he weighed what would happen, like, if he did leave. Well, he missed, going to work, seeing some familiar faces. He missed the job he loved. He maybe missed some time with his family looking for a new job. He just basically mulled over, like, what he loved about the job, what he would miss about the job, and just kind of events in his life. And he realized, he discovered the emotion, there was a relation to emotion. You need to go through one emotion to get ultimately to another emotion. And that's really, he realized, he needed catharsis for the third act. Basically, you need that realization that the emotions are related to each other to give you a grand catharsis, and that basically led to the film's third act, which we see play out, all because of that walk, and that gave him the idea. And then here's the tense part of the story. So, similar to the big moment from the first Toy Story movie, the big thing that saved Toy Story's bacon with the whole Black Friday thing. Pete Docter goes to John Lasseter. He has a sit-down with the brain trust and John Lasseter, and pretty much he pitches this gutsy chance for, like, restructuring the third act. It's like it's at a point where it says, okay, listen, we gotta switch these characters out. He doesn't have anything to show him. Pretty much, like, the film is done up to a large substantial point. He says, I could show you this, but I'm not. And basically, he tells him the whole idea for the movie from that little restructured point forward, that switching the emotions. He pitches it to him all auditorially. He tells them all, and then pretty much at the end, he's like clinging to hope that John Lasseter will go for it, because if he doesn't, then he's sunk. John Lasseter, being the wonderful man, then the creative he says, he gives him the okay for more time. Basically, because the film was, like, really close to completion, he says, okay, I can give you more time for working on the film, which also, I'm not sure, may have led to also maybe that year of delay, potentially.
It probably, it probably had something to do with that, yeah.
I'm sure also Good Dinosaur had his production problems, so he's probably wondering, well, we got to make sure
Good Dinosaur definitely went through its fair share of rocky production.
My guess is maybe Lasseter is thinking, like, well, you know what, we got to get a film right, we got to get it perfect, and if this film doesn't sound like it's shaping up to be like what we hoped it would be, we got to make sure it's strong so we can still have more time to work on Good Dinosaur and make that perfect. So, we got to make sure we do this right. And again, John Lasseter, being the gutsy man that he is, he basically says, oh, we're going to take a year off, we're going to make these perfect.
And frankly, I felt like Monsters University might have been the least. And Cars 2 as well, of course. I feel like Monsters University and Cars 2, BlueDragonFive, you and I, we both kind of defend Cars 2 on some level for being enjoyable.
I like Monsters University, I really do.
I'm not a huge Monsters University fan just because it's just like, hey, Animal House.
I don't think
Monsters.
It's not just Animal House.
Every time I think of it, I always just think of like the Futurama, like robot house.
That is pretty funny, a little robot. Okay, so essentially that's kind of the backstory on that. And of course, in the end of the day, it worked out phenomenally. One thing to mention, though, was just kind of the animation, if I may. What they used for, actually, I'm sorry, we'll save it when we get into it.
Sure.
That's the making of in a nutshell.
All right. Well, I guess the next important thing to go over is what our reaction was when we heard the premise, and then also kind of like through the marketing campaign and everything like that. And I know there was definitely a mixed reaction to the marketing campaign. So who wants to go first?
England or Monkey?
I guess I could say something. So one of my things. So
one of you say something, please.
Okay, something. Okay. Seriously. So I was actually there when they announced this movie at the D23 Expo in 2011.
Wait, you were really at D23? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was...
Why weren't you on our D23 podcast then? We did a podcast that year.
Well, no, D23 2011.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I didn't go to the 2013 one.
Okay, I'm sorry. My bad.
Good. Yeah, so the 2011 one, when I was able to get into that thing on the morning of the second day about upcoming movies. So glad I did.
I assume it wasn't as intense as trying to get into Hall H.
Into which?
Hall H, it's the big Comic-Con hall where they have all the major announcements.
Oh, okay, I'm not. It was funny. I remember we just suddenly decided you know what? Let's go a little earlier than we were planning to, which turned out to be pretty good planning.
Nice.
But anyway, so I remember them during the picture thing announcing the untitled Pixar movie about dinosaurs.
Oh man, you were there. Oh man.
For holiday 2013 or fall 2013, one of the two, and then the untitled Pixar movie that takes you inside the mind for summer 2014.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy.
And as they were describing it, I was sold. I bloody loved the concept of it. I mean, it's such a wonderful idea, the inner workings of the mind. I really look forward to seeing what they were going to do with that. Especially how they were going to they mentioned one of the things they would tackle was earworms, how those happen. That was something I was especially looking forward to, and it paid off very, very well. So there was definitely an interest. I wouldn't say I was totally, following its progress. It's kind of just, something about the Mind movie, and it's called Inside Out now. Okay, okay. There's what the characters look like. There's a teaser now. Okay, cool. We'll see how it is. Okay, now there's a longer trailer, which I'm pretty much just gonna try and ignore as much as I can because these days I'm pretty paranoid about trailers.
Terminator. I mean, in spite of it being a crap movie.
Terminator. Oh. Oh God. But yeah.
There's been some bad ones. I mean, hell, I even feel like
Amazing Spider-Man 2 had a really bad trailer.
God.
I heard.
I heard everything.
I heard that movie Max. Apparently, that trailer gave away the whole thing. From what I hear.
Yeah, I remember. I was literally the last movie. I think it was Jurassic World, if I'm not mistaken. When I saw the trailer for Max, it was like, man, it's the whole movie. I don't need to see it.
These days, if I see a movie and it's a trailer for something I'm interested in at all, I legitimately close my eyes. Honestly, I just try to ignore it as much as I can.
I definitely feel like Jurassic World even had too much of it revealed.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Star Wars, it's more just going in as blind as possible to see how that affects things, but yeah.
I mean, so far, I think that second Star Wars trailer was freaking genius.
Yeah, I just need to watch that over and over again. I'll be happy.
Oh my god! In terms of just giving us striking imagery without much context to it.
I just love that Yoda music. If they can just play it all day, I'll be happy.
And
Oh,
I still think that Star Destroyer in like Crashed is just one of the most amazing things.
so if I may, I do heavily anticipate whenever Akubo and the Two Strings teaser comes out, but hopefully with minions, but we'll see what happens, I guess.
Wait, what is that? Is that
The
the
next
new?
Leica movie.
Oh, I figured. Cool.
Yeah, what else would you expect from me?
Right.
But yeah, so then Inside Out finally came out. Were they showing it like the Tuesday before or something?
Thursday before I went to
Or
the
some
Thursday
I
screening.
went to Thursday also.
like some
Yeah,
early
me too.
screening of it?
I think they were, but it was only select markets because I saw
Yeah.
reviewers who did
Yeah.
on YouTube who did some that were like a week before everybody else. I saw it when it
Sure.
opened on Thursday in the Atlanta market.
Yeah. I almost went to a Thursday one, but the projector wasn't working.
Oh no.
So it was thankfully like they told me right off. I won for Inside Out in 3D. And I'm like, yeah. Yeah, we're having some projector difficulties, so that showing is canceled. Oh, okay. Thanks anyway. And I decided to just wait till the next day.
Was that kind of a bummer?
Eh. I don't know about bummer, but it was a little frustrating. Like, okay, I've driven here, let's get in. Oh, okay.
Sad old music.
Wasted gas. But whatever,
Yeah.
I don't know. Saw the movie the next day, and well, should I say my initial reaction, or do we say
Let's-
that?
No.
Let's
Let's go through our let's go through our
Yeah.
like thoughts before we saw the movie first.
Okay.
So I guess I can pick up after that. I have a dissenting opinion. I mean, I did not pay much attention to it. I didn't even know it was coming out until the trailers started coming out. And I'll step aside. I also avoid trailers for the same reason that everybody else here appears to, because and I'm glad I did in this case. So I did not watch. They put a lot of trailers on YouTube. They had meet the character trailers. They had the extended trailers, the official release trailer that came out like a week before the movie did, and then the short teaser trailers. The only ones I watched were the short teaser trailers, right very early in the game, and I stayed away from everything else. And so my
Okay,
my
I can
reaction,
see how that trailer would turn you off.
yeah, and it did. My initial reaction, and we've talked about this before, but my reaction was, okay, and I'm basing this, I hate to say it, on the track record they had with Cars 2 and Brave, and what I'm worried about is actually the back-end politics, and Blue Dragon, you mentioned, the risks that Lasseter takes, but Pixar, with Lasseter being put over Disney Animation, and the things that Disney Animation had been turning out, like Wreck-It Ralph, which was amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was wondering if Lasseter was saddled with too much. Does that make sense? To be able, go ahead.
I would agree with
And
that.
isn't he head of the theme park division too, or at least Disneyland?
No, he's not.
He has.
Wasn't he at one point?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was like overseeing the Toy Story theme park. I remember, like not the theme park. The Toy Story. No, actually, wait. It was like the Parisian.
I
Land.
could have sworn at one point he was
Toy
like
Story Land?
one of the creative
You're talking
people
about-
at Disneyland.
I don't-
Maybe I was
I don't-
just imagining that.
I don't think at an executive level that he's ever been over any of the parks. He's certainly got influence
Yeah.
in the sense that
Like Cars Land, I'm sure was like a lot of his input.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most likely.
I mean, he certainly has influence, but I do know for a fact, though, when the merger happened, or not just the buyout, but the actual merger, they put him over Disney Animation, and that was when Pixar started to slump. And I was really worried that basically what was happening was that Iger was telling, or the board of directors or whomever, that Pixar is not really the brand we want to push. We want to push Disney. Start making Does that make sense? And the stuff that they were putting out from the Pixar side started to feel more and more like direct-to-DVD to me. I mean, even
And
Brave.
honestly, that's what Monsters University felt like.
I agree with that. I mean, it didn't have that Pixar spice to it.
Yeah.
that punch. The
I
way
mean,
I
don't
put
get,
it,
I thought it was like a decent movie. You know, I mean, it's certainly better than like, let's say, something like Home or Turbo. You know, one of those like low-end DreamWorks movies.
but yeah, but then again, it didn't have. You know what it was missing? You know what it was missing was real heart. What Pixar is really good at.
I think
is
it tried. It certainly tried at the last act.
No, I think University at heart. That's just me. I think Mike was the carrying heart in that movie.
Yeah, well, I mean, but it had it in a very cliche way that's been done a million times in
Right.
college buddy films. It wasn't original, and Pixar likes to do buddy films, but
Oh, they certainly do.
they do it with their own flair that you don't. Even if you know it's gonna come, like with Toy Story 3, the plot was, and this isn't my observation, but someone else observed it, and I think they're right. The plot is essentially Toy Story 2, and reworked.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, there are similarities, but it's got a lot of original. It's like it turns like a Prison Break movie and everything. You know, it's got.
And I also think that in Toy Story, I think the most important thing is like the 10-year gap.
Oh
Well,
yeah, it's difficult.
Look at the antagonist of Toy Story 2 versus Toy Story 3. It's an abandoned toy.
Oh yeah,
And
certainly.
His entire
I just
motivation evil is
think
because he was
Watson was effective.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many comparisons. But the point is, I enjoyed Toy Story 2, not as much as Toy Story.
I think we should have
But I
seen.
love Toy
I think
Story
we
3.
should have seen Stinky Pete in. I'm sorry. I think we should have seen Stinky Pete in Sunnyside.
Yeah, but you know, the girl would have grown up too much. Actually, you got a point there. She might have still been given away. Prospector.
But, I mean, I guess where I'm going, I was really concerned about it from what was going on in the studio level. Things I don't know, things they won't ever talk about until they write their memoirs. So when this came out, I looked at it and I'm like, okay, I see what's going on here. Despicable Me has been a big hit for Universal, for DreamWorks.
Universal.
Yeah, thank you.
Illumination.
They've been a big hit, and they're they're very marketable toys and they're very marketable figures, and obviously they're on the third movie now, and so I could see someone in the board of directors or in not creative but quote unquote creative saying, hey, more marketing, saying, hey, you guys need to come up with the Pixar equivalent of this. It needs to be like Cars, something that we can sell a lot of toys with. It doesn't have to have heart like Wall-E. It doesn't have to have heart like Up, because those aren't toy sellers. We need Cars. And that's when I saw that. I was like, okay, these are going to be the Minions. This is going to be Pixar's version of Despicable Me. And it's going to be a blend between Osmosis Jones and the Minions.
I'm not really seeing
Minions
where you
Jones.
get. I'm not really seeing where you get the Minions connection from with Inside. I get the Osmosis Jones side. Even though I disagree with it, but I see where you're coming from. I just don't get Minions from Inside.
From that first trailer, just little cute, maybe Minions mixed with the Smurfs or something like that.
That's a low bar.
Well, that's what went through my mind. I was not excited about this movie at all. So, I ignored the later trailers, and I've actually gone back and watched them, and I'm glad I ignored them, because especially that final trailer gives away too much. And when I wrote up my review on this, I flat out said, if you haven't watched the trailer yet, don't. Just go into it blind, because they don't give it away, but they show you enough that it's not a surprise.
Yeah. Let's see, Riley and her parents will hold up sad. Gee, that makes me wonder if that's totally going to ruin the tension of her running away from home.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, thankfully I didn't see that image before going in. Like I said, paranoid. But yeah, that's trailer making for another. That's a discussion for another time, I guess. And
one thing on Lasseter, real quick. Look, I do really love. I particularly idolize John Lasseter and Seth MacFarlane. I think they both have kind of ascended to a similar place when you look at it. That they're both kind of guys with really a lot of power nowadays.
I'm not sure how much power Seth MacFarlane's going to have after Ted 2.
Well, we'll see. Again, we'll see. His point, like,
I think that's in question.
Let's just say I don't think he's gonna. I don't think he's gonna lose his nice house after.
At this point, I think he's probably just like, okay, Family Guy movie. I'll do it.
Right. But the point is, like, he's a ways to fall because he's built up so much capital at that point. But just looking at kind of Seth MacFarlane's byproduct of all the stuff he's created up to that point, it's losing. It's pretty much dying. What? Hello? You guys there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was making sure. I thought it was some audio thing. Okay, anyway. So the point is, like, Seth MacFarlane's other stuff, obviously it's declined severely. Except American Dad's actually not declined too badly because it's mainly in the hands of other people. But you look at Family Guy.
American Dad tries too hard these days.
Well, I mean, yeah, but at least it's not as bad as Family Guy. That's what I'm saying. You know, it's just at least they're trying on American Dad. Family Guy is just they've given up, and it's sad and it's depressing. But you look at John Lasseter, the Pixar side. Again, I think he manages a lot better than Seth MacFarlane does. At John Lasseter, at least he pays attention to not as much as he used to. Like again, with a movie like Inside, when it's a Pixar movie, maybe it's this. Maybe John Lasseter realizes, maybe other films they've been good. We've seen. I think they're keeping in what we've done before, but maybe he's acknowledging that they could be a little more up to snuff, and maybe that's why he paid maybe a little bit more attention to Inside Out. I'm not sure about that. I could be entirely wrong, but I think he's paid like an equal amount of attention to films like Big Hero 6 and Frozen, which again he had input that kind of changed those films, kind of gave them the support they needed to kind of be also Wreck-It Ralph too. But just
and I definitely have a growing fondness for Big Hero 6. I'll say that much because Big Hero 6, when that film first came out, I actually had an adverse reaction to it, to tell you the truth. But after rewatching it, I definitely kind of appreciate it more.
So I think he's given them the nourishment they need to grow, and I think he's balanced it enough to the films have enough room to grow. And I think he gave that same amount of attention to this film, and I think it's still managed. I think we should lay it all on Les. I think it's got to be in the hands of the filmmakers too. But he's he's Godfather. He gives the okay. He gives the Sen Clemenza. That's John Lasseter for you. He gives the smart.
I just want to see Lasseter do a bad Brando impression.
Oh God.
Well, but I mean, look, the mere fact that he got the films pushed back in the production schedule says something. I mean, that's him laying. I mean, if this film didn't do well after being pushed another year, the investors aren't going to like that at all.
Oh yeah.
The money side of the company isn't going to like it, and that goes back to what you're saying. He's a man taking risks, and the films that weren't taking. Cars 2 was a gimme. I mean, that wasn't a risk at all.
No, that was a vacation. That was an
actually,
check.
From what I've heard, it's kind of like he had to step in to direct that movie because it was having some problems, and he kind of took on a project he wasn't involved with from the beginning. From what I heard, he obviously came up with the first Cars, but something he wasn't. Something he had. Basically, he came up. Okay, let's do Cars 2, probably because of those reasons. Actually, I believe that there was an agreement that with the whole merger that Pixar had to do 3 sequels.
I can see that.
And I'm not sure how because Monsters University speculated it's either a Toy Story 4 Monsters, it was Nemo 2, Cars 2, and there was a third one which we don't know exactly if Monsters University fell into that because it's technically a prequel or if they meant Toy Story 4 directly as the third sequel. The point is they're contracted to do 3 sequels, and I assume maybe they lean towards Cars because that is absolutely the most profitable, from a toy perspective wise of the toys. I mean, of the merchandise and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe his pressure in doing that is he said, okay, we're doing Cars 2. He hands it to, I believe it was Brad Lewis, if I'm remembering correctly, who was directing that. It could be wrong. It was Brad something. Anyway, so he worked on moving that. I guess it ran into some story problems, and last year said, well, it would be kind of fun to do a throwback to the spy stuff, and he basically took it from there and just kind of infused as much as he could in the project that late in the game, and that's why Cars 2 maybe is not as whole as a project you would have liked it to be. We think we can all definitely agree it's not whole as a project we'd like it to be.
But what it felt like was it felt rushed. I mean, oddly, I like Planes better than Cars 2.
Right, I wouldn't go that far. Even just I don't know. Planes, I would.
Maybe is because I had.
What about Planes, Fire and Rescue?
I liked that one too.
Oh,
I never saw either of them.
You're tearing me apart, England.
Well, and some of that could be that I probably went in with low expectations, and that could have been why and I was pleasantly surprised it wasn't. Some of the directed DVD sequels that were done in the Eisner area in the late in the late '90s.
Oh yeah. However, I like Krunk's New Groove. That was a good one.
Krunk's New Groove was good. Lion King 1.5.
Lilo and Stitch 2 isn't bad.
But
I think Lion King 1.5 is about the gold standard when it came to those.
You're right.
But you look at the Aladdin 2, Return of Jafar.
Yeah, but 3 was good.
Well, 3 was okay.
Well, you can't beat 4.
Jafar, but I'll acknowledge it's not a great movie by any stretch.
Well, either way, you can't beat Aladdin 4.
Jafar needs glasses.
Cinderella 2.
The Cinderella ones were terrible because those were essentially just like
the third one had time travel.
Yeah, I think the third one was okay.
I hated Peter Pan too. That one was just that
cheap. One actually came out in theaters.
Yeah, oh yeah, that makes it even worse. That's why I saw it.
So did Jungle Book too.
Right.
But all of this kind of.
And it was like an hour long, and it had the bare necessity like 6 times.
Was it that short? Huh.
I don't know. It's probably like 70 minutes at the most. I'm
checking right now.
When you're working on a budget, when you're making a direct-to-video animated thing, it's always going to be in the 70-minute category. 70, 80 minutes max.
Oh, yeah. Hunchback 2 was awful.
Oh, yes.
Haley Joel Osment.
Was there a Mulan too? I want to say there was a Mulan.
Yes, there was a Mulan.
Yeah. Don't remind me of Mulan 2, please. Don't. It was like a terrible romantic comedy. Can we?
I can kind of
Pocahontas too, which they tried to kind of like tie into historical stuff.
They murdered him and then they brought him back.
Right. Wait, they brought him back? Really? I didn't even finish the damn movie. I just saw like the first half hour. I don't know,
because I can't remember if they re-killed him. I forget if
they... That's a twist that I've never known about. I just remember like, oh damn, that was out of nowhere.
It's like the ending implies she dies and stuff. I don't want to get into it.
My 3-year-old daughter enjoyed those movies. She's 10 now, but she was 3 then. But then again, she also thought the Smurfs was cinematic genius. So.
Hey! I thought the Flintstones and Viva Rock Vegas was cinematic genius.
Yeah.
Viva Rock? I
need to watch that movie again someday.
No, I'm just saying that I can like appreciate that little kid mindset. It's like it's like you don't have to you're just like when I was a kid, I was just like, oh, I like Gazoo, he's funny, and the dinosaurs, and yay,
and the spiral water slide thing.
Right. Okay. Anyways.
Yeah, so that was my reaction. I never watched the final trailers, and I went into the movie, and I'll leave it at this. I went into the movie not thinking, with low expectations. I did not think I was going to enjoy it at all. And then when I saw Lava, and I already talked about how it didn't click with me. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. It just didn't click with me.
That's fair. Sure.
And I saw that, and I'm like, my feelings started to sink. And then that opening music started, and I'm going to stop.
Let's transition to the music. Can we transition to the music, please?
No, because we're not done with first reactions.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was just excited by the music.
Yeah, we'll get to it, but I'm going to stop right there because that's my experience going into this movie.
Okay. I guess my experience is I was definitely like pumped up and ready for this movie. I'll admit, England, I had the same reaction you had to a certain extent when I saw that first trailer. I did. I didn't really like that it was so joke-heavy, and it's kind of ironic considering this might be the most serious-toned Pixar film we've ever had, in spite of the fact that there is a lot of humor thrown in there. I kind of equate it to the Frozen trailer in a way. Because I think the Frozen trailer might be one of the most god-awful trailers that Disney ever put out.
They got sued over that? They got sued over that.
What?
They got sued and they lost over that. At the first Frozen, like the teaser thing where it was like Olaf and Sven. They got sued over that.
For what?
For what?
It was basically the story of that. Again, it's ridiculous if you ask me, but it can. Unfortunately, they lost. But the premise is they the premise of the teaser, like like Snowman playing a unicorn, and you get the nose taken away, all that stuff. No, I did not mean. I meant reindeer. I don't know what the heck. I'm thinking of the unicorn in the Inside Out. That's what I'm thinking of.
You just don't. You need to pick your nose more and chase your butt, just like they do in that movie.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry. I don't like Frozen. So go ahead. But I did like that trailer. But please continue your story because I don't
like that trailer. Really?
I did like that trailer. That actually made me excited.
I'll admit I did too.
But,
I thought that trailer was awful. I didn't think that trailer conveyed anything about that movie. I thought it was just like
it conveyed anything about the movie.
No, that's what I liked about it. I liked the fact that the trailer didn't tell you everything about the movie, but it showed you the characters and showed you the animation and some of the comedy you could expect, and it made me kind of excited to see it. But,
I don't think Frozen's marketing in general was that strong because I don't remember. I wasn't excited for Frozen at all, to tell you the truth. Frozen was actually something that kind of slid under my radar.
I still want to know what they were.
I don't want to get into a Frozen conversation, but I think in terms of Frozen, I think I appreciate the film. I kind of feel like the overwhelming success of it is kind of like what turns people off of it more than anything else, and the fact that how they're using it.
Yeah. I mean, I remember we've been over this before, so.
Oh God, yeah. It's no new ground on this podcast.
Blue Dragon didn't finish his story though. How did they get? What were they getting sued over? Or did I miss it?
No. Let me tell you. I didn't get to it yet. But let me also before I get to speaking of the trailer, so I had England's viewpoint. I had mine because I had faith the movie was going to be good. I was going to give it a shot till I saw the first action because I knew it was going to be like a teaser thing. It's going to be like kind of little fun demonstration. I just figured it's kind of a good vibe. I knew, however, when I watched this, people aren't going to gravitate towards it instantly because this is just a little taste of what you're getting, but it's not anything about the movie. People are not going to be happy with this. I knew that when I first saw it.
Although, unlike some Pixar trailers, it does actually factor into the, and there are hints. For example, you kind of if you pay attention, you can pick up on the fact that they just moved into a new house from that trailer.
Well, no, I mean the Frozen thing. I meant for Frozen.
Oh, the Frozen. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I knew people weren't going to be happy because that doesn't tell anything about the movie.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, and then here's the story.
If you would have followed the Frozen trailer, you would have thought it was some buddy comedy between Sven and Olaf.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's not much the story. Just pretty much they were sued because any movies, even like Monsters Inc., every movie is kind of subject to this. Sometimes more successful. Was surprised it was not successful. That people always say, "Hey, that's my idea. It's very similar to my premise." Again, sometimes you gotta bear in mind. Sometimes it's an accident, sometimes it's not. Because Lion King had a similar thing where they had the
Kimba?
Yeah, that exactly. Basically, it was a Kimba situation.
Kimba is one that's kind of suspicious to me.
Yeah, Monsters Inc. That was a weird one because basically someone drew an eyeball, a satanic eyeball with legs, and they said it was Mike Wazowski.
That's a bit more of a stretch.
You see what I mean, though?
You can look up Kimba and see the similarities. I'll leave it to you to do that.
See, for the most part, it's always out of the woodworks, and even with Frozen, there's things about people are saying, well, the story's similar to this interpretation, just basically the story of Frozen. I lived there's some crazy lady saying that was my life story. They put in an animated movie, or I think it was for Frozen, might have been for something else.
I remember that. Yeah.
No, it was for Frozen.
Yeah, basically it was something like that, but another thing for Frozen where someone did a kid's storybook or something. It was about a snowman. Again, that's where they get a lot of their fodder from. It was about a snowman. Again, pretty much just what that short was about, and they brought it to court, and because it was so similar in premise, I guess they sided with the guy who did the book or did the story, and he got it. They had to pay him a settlement of some kind. You got it basically saying they stole the idea for that teaser trailer.
But back to the whole premise on teaser trailers, though. I mean, because you talked about the reaction of it. I like the fact that why do you want a teaser trailer? Tiki, I mean, you mentioned why do you want a teaser trailer to show you what the movie's about? One of the best teasers I can think of was the build-up for the J.J. Abrams movie with the monster.
I'll admit that was awesome. I will admit that. Yeah.
Cloverfield. Cloverfield. The only reason I went to see that movie was because of that trailer. That's the only reason.
It's not a great movie by any stretch.
Hell no. But I went to go see it because that trailer made me excited for it because it didn't show me that much. I want to see just.
Monkey, you don't know Cloverfield.
What?
Cloverdale.
Oh
Those are
yeah,
two?
Cloverdale. Yeah.
I made an hour and 10-minute long student film that was essentially a parody of Cloverfield with my friends running around a Six Flags park. It was beautiful. I need to put it online one day.
Yeah, you do. That sounds pretty funny.
It was beautiful. Trust me,
I just
it was
remember
beautiful.
like the unseen giraffe fetuses.
Yes. Okay.
That is so random.
No. I'll explain it.
Well, how are they unseen? They're like that
I'll
tall.
explain it. God damn it, this podcast is going to go on so.
Hey, we have to burn 2 hours, man.
Well, no, we've already burned an hour. We haven't even gotten into.
We need more hours.
Anyway.
All right, fetus time.
We're done
Fetus time.
burning. I think the burning is good. We're at a steady, we're at a steady fire right now.
Okay, enough of the unseen, the
Yes.
somehow unseen
No.
giraffe
Now that you brought up the unseen giraffe fetuses, I feel I need to explain myself. So let me do
Let's
that.
just leave it unseen. Let's let the people imagine what it is.
No, I need to
It'll be a
explain
fucking
it.
adventure, Tiki.
I think you brought it up in an on-air podcast really early in the channel's history, so if they scavenge enough, maybe they'll find it.
No. I want
like
to
an
explain
Easter
it.
egg.
I want to explain it.
It's
Okay.
like our A113.
Okay.
Explain it.
So it's gonna be super hard to see. So it is gonna be unseen in this case, for it.
Yet it's really tall.
Okay, so yeah, the whole movie. There's actually a couple statues at Discovery Kingdom that are like giraffes, but in like these weird purple colors. And so that's where me and my friends got the idea, like, oh, radioactive giraffe, that's the monster. And so throughout the movie, essentially throughout the first 45 or half hour of the movie, it's just us running around a theme park, and it's really lame and boring, kind of like the first half hour of Cloverfield. But then things ramp up, and there's a very specific moment where things ramp up. And it's where me and my friends, it's a shot of me and my friends, and we're sneaking in, and we're looking at this open, this secret area, this employees only area, and we're like looking into it. And then we're running, and we run away, and then things ramp up from there, and it gets into this whole dramatic like I am on camera, and I'm demanding what they saw, what my friend saw. And my friend just got super serious and super into it. Like, if you watch the acting on him, like, he's by far the person that's doing the best acting, and he just was like, no, leave it alone. Leave it alone. You don't want to go there, man. And then later I asked my friend, like, hey, if you could imagine what it was that you actually saw, what would it be? And he's just like, oh, I just imagined it was a storage room filled with dead draft fetuses. I'm like, okay. Okay. Good job.
Inside back in Inside Out, this is imagination
Yes.
land, half dead giraffe fetus land.
Okay, can we get back to Inside Out, please?
Yeah.
This sort of imagination starts around age 16, so it's not in the movie.
I was
Yeah.
17 when we made it, so yeah, that's pretty spot on. Pretty spot on, yeah.
All right, so
Okay.
reactions though. So I mean, Tiki, I think you were finishing up yours.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, like, I will say that the trailers did spoil stuff. I think they released too many clips. I think that's where it killed it, because literally you could piece the clips that they released together, and it'd be like, you could piece together the first 10 minutes of this movie from clips.
Can I
Like,
add
I'm not
something to
even
that?
joking.
Can I add something to that?
Sure, sure.
Now I've gone back and I've watched all the clips because I've seen the movie,
Right.
so I don't mind. And you're absolutely right. One thing I really liked was I liked some of their trailers. Like they had the Age of Ultron reaction trailer.
Oh, that was a good one.
And I really liked that. I thought it was a unique way to push the movie without telling you anything about the movie, but they use scenes from the movie. And here's what I'd really like to see Pixar do, if they with a movie like this, is have the trailers be actual shorts, and that's why I like that Frozen short. It's not really the movie, but it gives you an idea what the movie's going to be, but you're not going to see it. Does that make sense? And
Uh-huh.
Sure,
think
it definitely saw that, because wasn't that the case with Monsters, Inc.?
is that how
Oh
they did
yeah,
it?
yeah, pretty much, sort of.
Yeah.
Sort of.
I don't remember the trailers for Monsters.
Well,
Inc.
the teaser trailer of Monsters Inc. was like going to a Mongolian kid's room, and like they thought it was Mongolia, but they got like the wrong room. And it's basically Mike and Sully on a job together. And it was before they didn't want to give away the whole monster world thing, where it's just pretty much like two monsters with a clipboard saying we got the wrong place.
Yeah, exactly.
I like stuff like that. I mean, I know you can't do that
I
for every
remember I
movie.
was really intrigued by that, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you can't do that for every movie, but I think for a movie like Inside Out, that kind of marketing, I think they tried to do that. But
Well, we
because
already
they,
talked about, like, a very recent example is Zootopia.
yeah,
Right.
Basically,
Exactly.
if they did Mystery Science Theater with Inside Out, it might have been a little more clever. You know, if they kept going with that sort of thing. But
heck, I think about they could have made shorts if they played on the Disney Channel. The little
sure,
5-minute
they could,
Mystery
easily.
Science, that would have been that would have been great marketing. But oh well. Anyway, I didn't mean to
I could imagine them reacting to Gravity Falls.
I just imagine Anger getting super pissed at Prince Hans. Like,
what do you mean no one will ever love?
oh no, he didn't!
That's it. I'm putting the foot down.
And of course, he's reading a newspaper with a headline: "Prince Hans doesn't love Anna."
I love
Prince Hans is Judas.
I just want to say, I love that newspaper gag so
it's
much.
great.
I don't think we mentioned on the first discussion we had of this. I love that newspaper gag. And it says The Mind Reader, by the way. It's the title of the newspaper.
Right.
All right, so we should get into first reactions, because we're only an hour into this podcast.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, I guess, wait, am I the last one?
I guess so, yeah.
All right, yeah. So not a lot to say. Just first, going into it, I was looking very forward to it. You know, the trailers. I just wrote the hug thing off. It's like, oh, okay, they're family, they're hugging. It's gonna be one of the things you see in the movie. Didn't really dawn on me. Oh man, that might actually be like a big emotional instrument of the movie. It's like because they're playing more than a feeling. They're playing all that.
No,
Stuff.
yeah, I'll agree with
Yeah.
you. I didn't really think too much of it at the time. I mean, I could totally see looking back on it. It's like, yeah, sure. When I was watching the movie, it didn't occur to me like, oh, we haven't seen that shot of them hugging yet. And not to mention, it's not like I actually thought she was going to get away with running away. I mean,
Uh-huh.
they do make it very suspenseful, especially I feel like that
yeah.
moment where you see where you see them going into Oakland. And especially because I'm from the Bay Area, I'm like, no, don't go into Oakland, it's bad.
Yeah. But also, I think I believe it was the second trailer, or at least one of the first, it may have been just like the first regular trailer, like just the bit where they're at the dinner table. I thought that was a brilliant thing, Mark, because that sells you on the movie right there. You don't need anything else. Just just keep it that way. And I thought again.
Yeah, I remember that. If I may, I remember that getting me pumped up a bit more. Like, oh, so we're gonna see other people's emotions too.
Yeah, that was kind of a big deal,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, although
I was surprised
it
that
does
made
turn out to be
just
pretty much just a gag. But whatever.
Yeah. I thought that was going to be their test footage. Well, not test, but you know what I mean. Like, just that was going to be their teaser clip, so to speak. But I'm surprised they made it into movies, like because they had like the whole Gardenia at the end. I was like, it's got to be like a teaser thing. But no, it's in the movie. I was so happy about it. Also, I'm glad they kept out, except for like I believe some unfortunate people who have seen the international trailers might have seen our big pink breakout character, but I think they kept him well under wraps.
They did.
Yeah, like I had
I
no
was very
idea he
impressed.
existed until they find him in the memory banks.
Yeah. So that's pretty much just going into it. I was hyped up again. I had the bit of like the Pixar movie, just kind of that like a few weeks before worry of like what the actual guys go through when they're actually in the theaters and they have that moment where like the lights go out. It's like, oh my god, what if it's a flop? And I was just thinking, I'm like, all hyped up for it until those last 3 weeks, and I kind of think the reality sets in. Like, you know what? If this movie doesn't do it, Pixar might be in some trouble.
That's very true.
It's like that whole thing of like, man, this one's a really risky one. I mean, is there any way this could fail? And I realized, oh wait a minute, it could fail. What if the payoff's not as much as I think it's going to be? You know, what if that stuff's not?
Right,
what if it's not all going to? What if it's just a bunch of like fun vignettes and that's it? Yeah, like the reality setting at the moment, but then overall, like the positivity triumphs. Like, it's Pixar. Come on, they're going to do fantastic with this, and they did, and I loved it.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it took me, I saw it twice, and it's one of those films, like, I feel like I had the same reaction, like, a very similar reaction to this, and I did to Mad Max Fury Road. Both films are, like, easily, like, top of my list of top 2015. I feel like it's a high watermark to set right now, although, of course, they're both very genre films, this being animation, Mad Max just being a hardcore action movie that's just beautifully freaking made with tons of beautiful aesthetic practical effects, but I won't get into that. But my whole reaction was just like, oh my god, that was almost too much to take in. Like, there's so much going on. There's just so much detail, so much world building. You know, a lot of really fast-paced dialogue and really deep sort of story stuff that you don't even really chew on the first time through. So I definitely needed a second viewing to fully process this movie, not because I was kind of in denial about it, but more so just I didn't necessarily know how to feel about it the first time. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I was just kind of like, okay, I know that was like a dense as hell movie, but I need to process it. And of course, when I went back and processed it, I was like, okay, like, we'll get into it later, but I definitely think this is easily one of the best Pixar films that they've ever done.
Well, man, I walked out of the movie, so I just want to turn around, so I want to see it again.
I went back 2 days later, and like I said, I've seen it 3 times, and I'll probably watch it. I'll watch it again on the cruise. It's got rewatchability too. I mean, even when you know, every time I've seen it, I've caught different things. But yeah.
All right, so I think our first reactions are pretty evenly split.
So,
We're just like, oh, we loved it. Okay.
Yeah, I've also caught it. I also caught it a couple days after the first time, though. That was more of kind of like, Father's Day, family, see this movie, cool. I saw it for a third time like a few hours ago to catch myself up.
Oh,
also,
nice.
Seeing it again.
Good prep work.
To see it again. So, but yeah, the first time, like, I really, really enjoyed it. Like, I actually standing owed it.
Nice.
Which I don't think happens often. Like, as far as movies are concerned, yeah. Okay, I may as well mention. So, you can't see it, and I'm not gonna show it. But so, like, behind my laptop, behind the computer, there's a sort of bulletin board. Like, I have a bunch of stuff on there, mostly tickets and such, like various shows I've seen, some movies, and I decided that, that Inside Out was on enough of a level, like, yeah, this ticket from me seeing Inside Out the first time, that's going up on the bulletin. It's going up there. Yeah.
Neutral Milk Hotel's final show ever.
Yeah, right.
There you go.
Yeah, congrats on that. Yeah, and if I may, like, just trying to figure out how to word this right. I think it came at a really good time, like a time where, okay, I'm so glad I saw the good movie just now that cheered me up a lot.
Right.
Yeah, so there's some good timing with that also. But yeah, so, yeah, very, very pleased with it.
Okay, so I guess a good transition point now is the music, because I'm right there with England. As soon as the Giacchino hit, I'm just like, oh my god, this is just gonna like assault my emotions.
Someone should probably get Giacchino like a solid gold piano for all the good work he does,
There's gonna be a sucker punch of emotions. Like, I was literally questioning, like, oh my god, I'm gonna just sit here and just cry through this whole damn movie, aren't I?
Second time I watched it, I was like almost in tears at the beginning part, and then also at the big kind of self-sacrifice moment we all know too well.
Yeah, that was definitely the part that I cried both times. I mean, not like heavy tears, but certainly not up level. But we'll get into it.
It didn't make me weep as much as Winter Soldier, but
I'm not with you on Winter Soldier. But
you.
It's a good action movie. That's all I'll give it.
You still haven't watched it again yet, have you?
No, I've only
See,
seen
that's
it once.
why.
I can't say Winter Soldier made me weep, but Up of course had that opening scene.
Yeah.
But
Which
after
is
that,
just the biggest freaking gut
I
punch.
tell you. Oh, by the way, I mentioned this to you last time, England, but well, to all of you actually, I think. If you go to the Pixar website, you can actually watch the bonus feature from the Up DVD where it shows you the other version of Married Life, and they have that storyboard I told you about, the black and white storyboard of like you see him fall in love with Ellie. Oh my god, it's so beautiful. And they have the Ginchino music playing during it, so it's beautiful.
yeah, but I think the difference for me, and I'm guessing Tiki wanted to bring me on because of this. This film for me throughout it consistently brought me to laughs and tears, laughs and tears, laughs and tears, up and down. It was an emotional roller coaster for a variety of reasons. And whereas Up, it was just that first segment. And then after that, I was like, oh, this is a fun movie.
Ellie Badge.
Oh, that was exactly my reaction to Up. Yeah, I was like, oh, this is really fun.
But this movie, and
how
it's
the hell
really...
did Russell get on the house? Doesn't make sense. You see a shot of the entire bottom of the house, and he's not there. He just magically shows up.
Well, are you gonna transition to the theory that he actually died?
Oh, God,
That the old man actually died?
No.
No, the theory is actually that he went insane. He had a nervous breakdown.
Right. There we
go.
Oh.
That's the theory. And that basically everything after he got served in court is an elaborate fantasy.
The internet's a wonderful place for things like that.
Oh, it's great. It's
yeah, you're gonna give me a second. I gotta adjust my tinfoil hat, and but that's very difficult to do that emotional roller coaster. So I don't know. I didn't mean to derail the thread with that, but
no, it's fine. It's fine.
Where were we?
Music. So, my God, the Ginchino score, it's just, it signals instantly that this is like an Oscar winner. This is like an emotionally grabbing film. That's
I really hope this frickin' wins. I'm going to be totally
I'll tell you one thing. I really want this to be nominated for Best Picture. Just nominated,
yes.
at least. Like the other ones. Yeah, I'd be astounded.
There's a big campaign for it. I would not be surprised.
I'm saying if the other
winning is another thing entirely, but we'll see.
I'm saying if two of the other fantastic Pixar movies, Toy Story 3 and Up, got nominated, along with even some Disney movies like Beauty and the Beast, of course, those get nominated.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't this film get nominated too? Come on, that'd be a crime not to be nominated for Best Picture.
I don't necessarily think the lineup this year, like in terms of big Oscar movies, is turning out to be that strong.
Yeah, I'm not hearing anything real major this year.
I'm not either.
Then again, Oscar season's a little later.
The thing I'm most looking forward to is Quentin Tarantino's Hateful Eight.
Yeah.
Besides that, there's really not a whole lot that's driving me towards the end of the year.
It's a lot of popcorn films coming out.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, of course, Star Wars, obviously, but
and
kind of
James Bond and Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Sure. Isn't Hunger Games coming out? No, I guess that's
Thanksgiving.
November. Yeah.
Thanksgiving weekend. But yeah, it certainly deserves Best Picture, especially when you go back to the cinematic. Again, like I was saying, it's really hard to tell the story in a way that will bring you to a high and then a low and then a high.
Sure.
And it happens multiple times in the film. It's not like a lot of films. What they'll do is they build you up and then attach you to the characters with whatever comedy or whatever, and then they'll go to some emotional low, the problem that the protagonist needs to solve, and then they'll
usually towards the end of the second act.
Yeah, and then they'll go back to a high, to end on a high note.
Mm-hmm.
This film does it. I mean, even in the middle of the third act, I'm like, are they really going to go there? I mean, she got on the bus, for God's sake.
Right,
really,
yeah.
The bus takes off.
I know there's going to be a twist, but I have no idea when it's coming, and I don't want to get too much into that because we're still kind of on first reactions. But man, that really got me. This was excellent filmmaking.
Yes. Oh, so fantastic. I'll tell you, I'm going to tell you why this movie turned out so well. I'm going to tell you there are various reasons. I'll tell you the one big reason this film turned out so well. They had Kevin Nolting editing this movie. This guy's a fantastic editor. This thing got edited up. This guy knows his word. this guy knows how to put things together. Like, Seth MacFarlane should definitely find this guy because editing is suffering a lot these days.
Yeah.
But seriously, Kevin Nolting is one of the most brilliant editors I've seen in Pixar. He really is. This guy really knows like the comedic puns. Like, get that bit from Up where he's hanging Russell outside the window and he drops and says, well, that's not going to work. Yeah,
it's not going to work.
And of course, the whole Mary Life sequence is edited so well. I mean, this guy's a fantastic editor. And this film is the most heavily reliant on perfect editing than any of the other Pixar films, because again, they have the whole thing when Joy is conversing with sadness, and you keep cutting to, remember that one time, and they says, oh yeah, and then that happened. They says, no, remember that one time,
right.
It keeps cutting back and forth so fluidly and so perfectly. It's perfect kind of beats to the gag, and again, Nolting just has a really great style for that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've been listening to the soundtrack pretty much like nonstop. Like basically anytime I'm gonna be doing an extended, like anytime I go out in the backyard to work or anytime I'm on the bus, I'll just pop in the soundtrack.
I love the bit where like the big confrontation's happening and they have like the military music playing.
You mean the you mean that?
Well, that I can't quite tell what that is.
I'm sorry.
But the bit like it's like the dun 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 dun.
Oh yeah, I know what you're saying.
That whole thing, the whole put the foot down music. That
right.
Is, I love it. Listening to the soundtrack, man, that sounds so good even out of context.
There's a track called I think it's called "We Can Still Stop Her," which is the piano music I was talking about, and it's just like this really menacing, just sort of like just dark rain clouds over everything, and it's very bombastic. I remember
that's when she's getting on the bus. That's what.
Exactly.
But I tell you, when I was rewatching it, the second time I was watching, hearing that music plays, the two bits again. I love just the Giacchino music playing. The opening theme, Joy's theme, I think it is.
It's called Bundle of Joy.
Bundle of Joy. Then, and I love my favorite bit is like this little bit that happens when the first memory is created. Like you hear this this little flourish, da da, and then plays the theme again slower, and like you hear that little. You can almost hear in the music like the ball rolling down the little scale.
To tell you the truth, it kind of reminds me of the structure that they have for the Living Seas music, where it starts out with a really, really catchy theme and hooks you in, and then it goes into a much slower rendition of the theme.
And of course, I love instantly right after that moment when like for 17 or 32 seconds, everything was great, and then there was sadness. And then it's basically the happy-go-lucky, like the mystical, whimsical theme turns like a little more comedic, more like with a trombone or like a tuba or something like.
Sadness's theme is definitely a trombone.
Yeah, it plays perfectly. I loved again the facial reactions and the animation are fantastic in this movie too. Just seeing like Joy's. Again, they have the perfect. They stretched it in the animation, so they could do more Tex Avery, Chuck Jones style stretches to Joy's animation physically, and also with the expressions. So give like this happy expression, yet kind of like, oh, it's you, but like just give it still with the joyous smile of like, yeah, I'm so happy. Sadness.
The second track is called Team Building, and it's during that montage where they're kind of like setting up all the characters, and I really like this track because it's basically like a rendition of Bundle of Joy, except with kind of a more sort of freestyle jazz thing going on. Like there's a lot of drums, a lot of I don't know. It's kind of like it's just I like how they take Bundle of Joy, and then they kind of incorporate it over everything else, and then they have the Imagination Land music. Like, basically everything that is introduced in the score kind of later comes back.
That's what Giacchino does best. Does in all his scores. He brings it back in all these.
What I love so much about it, which really draws me into it. I mean, there's a reason why I can listen to it over and over as just a piece of music. I think it's just, like, as an album in its own right, as just a piece of music on its own, I think it's fantastic.
Like you hear like the romanticized version of The Incredibles when he's just sitting in his office, just looking over.
Sure.
Like basically, it's a really romanticized version of the main theme.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's tough about a soundtrack to me is the music has to actually play into the story. So what's great about the Inside Out soundtrack, and where he really hit the nail on the head, is the music accentuates what you're supposed to be feeling and
absolutely.
the images that you're seeing, but it doesn't overpower them. And so what I noticed was, and I didn't notice this until I came back from watching it the first time, and I started playing the soundtrack because I was looking for something to put on my review, and the soundtrack on itself stands out really well. You can listen to it from beginning to end, and it's every song is just really good. But when you're actually watching the movie, you don't notice the music that much. You feel the music, but you don't notice it.
It's brilliant.
It's not. It's John Williams-ish in that way. When John Williams wants you to notice the music, you notice it.
Exactly. Right.
But then he pulls back, and I was going to make this comment. I'm really glad to see this composer hit his stride, because it looks like he is. Between this and Jurassic World, where the music was also excellent, when James
I
Horner,
have issues with the Jurassic World score, but we won't get into that right now.
Yeah, my point is, I think he's turning out really good work.
He is, certainly, and I definitely think the John Williams comparison is definitely a good one.
I have a more apt comparison, and
he's the best Pixar composer they got. He is.
Yeah, but I have an apt comparison that has to do with somebody who passed recently, and it's one of my favorite composers, James Horner.
I could see that, yeah, for sure.
And I'm really glad to see him. I'm really glad to see him take stride right now, because after losing Horner to the industry, I think he could fill Horner's shoes with that type of writing. I mean, it's just I don't know how else to put it. So it was really comforting me that the soundtrack is really excellent. And actually, the only soundtrack I can think of that I can listen to beginning to end, the last one that was beginning to end, that was really orchestral, not like Forrest Gump, which is a great soundtrack, but it's a lot of 60s music and 70s music and stuff.
Of course, Guardians of the Galaxy also did an amazing job of working into the plot.
Yeah, but again, that soundtrack was a lot of recycled older music.
It was all recycled
Guardians
music, but I'm just saying, it incorporated itself into the movie in an incredibly unique way.
I think Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, to me, was the last soundtrack that I could listen to, the soundtrack alone, from beginning to end, except for Bryan Adams. After you hear that song a couple times, you don't want to hear it anymore. But if you ever listen to that soundtrack from beginning to end, there's a reason, and the Rocketeer soundtrack was a James Horner one. That one was excellent as well. I really, really enjoyed all the music in this. My favorite was the credits, though.
And it's called The Joy of Credits.
I know, I love it.
All right. Monkey, anything to say about the music?
Triple Dent Gum is a perfectly executed running gag.
Oh, it's amazing.
Triple Dent Gum.
I just love how the way they deal with it, and the execution of the gag is, perfect. They just keep bringing it back at the perfect times.
Sometimes
it's amazing timing. It really is.
What?
Sometimes we just send it up there and mess with them.
The only thing that would have made that better is if they'd either thrown in a Rick Astley or a Mentos. If they had gotten the license for Mentos, that would have been...
I don't know, I think it's funnier with the original product, because how true it is, it's like double mint gum, triple mint gum. See, it's triple, which makes it funnier.
Yeah, I get the joke. It would have been such a mind screw for the audience if they'd done the Mentos commercial, because 3/4 of the audience would have immediately had that stuck in their head.
Oh, sure.
Right as the gag happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, aside from that, I don't have much to say about it.
I love just seeing Riley hum it on the outside after they play it on the computer. They're just humming it to herself or saying it to herself. Triple that go, triple that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess that's to get into the movie now. I mean, is this a good transition?
Yeah, I mean, we already did a podcast that was kind of a blow-by-blow of the scene, so I don't really want to get into too much detail, but there's one kind of specific thing I want to go over, a couple specific things, but one of them is, what do you guys think of the fact that this movie, I feel like definitely since Toy Story 3, it's one of the animated movies we saw that is a big callback to the sort of like tone and atmosphere that movies of the late 80s and early 90s evoked. Things I'm talking like Brave Little Toaster, I'm talking like Don Bluth before he went crazy in the 90s to a certain extent.
I just love that image.
I'm
Crazy
a
Don
bad troll.
Troll in Central Park.
Oh, God.
Seriously, how cool was All Dogs Go to Heaven? That was a good movie.
It
was a fun movie.
It was a movie. It was a
fun.
movie.
I'm on Tiki's side with this. It was
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I mean, I
I
jumped
am
the
too.
gun with good. I just have fond memories of All Dogs Go to Heaven. It's like the racetrack. It's
There's
pretty
one
funny.
thing that I won't bring up about All Dogs Go to
Yeah, I
Heaven.
know,
that
I
kind
know.
of-
Yeah.
I won't bring it up,
Yeah.
but I cannot think of it when I think of
Right.
that movie.
Just think of waffles, Tiki. Just think of waffles. Okay.
Well, I mean,
Just think of Ken Page.
everybody has a movie like that. I mean, I can watch the original Care Bears movie with Darkheart because I grew up with it. I had it on beta tape.
Sure.
Dark Part was the second one, though, right?
Oh, maybe it was. Whichever one had Darkheart. I can watch that one.
Second one.
I can watch that one. I can watch that over and over. Lionheart and Darkheart and Care Bears there. And to this day, I can watch that over and over again. It's an awful movie. I can still watch it and I love it.
One of the
everybody-
first things I was ever exposed to was like a Japanese import called Scamper the Penguin.
Right.
Yes.
It's on YouTube. Look it up.
And
And
now,
I'm with Edwin. I can still just watch it. It's not that great, but
Well, considering you have Scamper the Penguin and I have, Care Bears, I'm guessing that Blue Dragon and the fact that he likes All Dogs Go to Heaven is actually probably a better stance when you think about it, because that was a far better movie than either of what we're talking about.
I'm sure it probably is something like it. It just doesn't come to mind at the moment.
But Tiki, getting back to Tiki's point here, he is. I think he's right. It does have a Brave Little Toaster vibe sort of thing. And basically, it's kind of this adventure with Kodo, like kind of some real stuff going on the outside with Riley. Like just kind of simplistic thing, like going through a move, and
Yeah.
kind of debating kind of the real heavy stuff towards the third act about maybe not sticking around.
Mm-hmm. And I just think, especially just in terms of the atmosphere, especially once Joy and Sadness leave headquarters,
Oh yeah.
it pretty much is just like, okay, we're just going to hit you with, like, relentless, just thick atmosphere.
Yeah.
Of course, when Joy kind of takes the plummet, then when she plummets down the chasm, that's
Oh
when
my god. Yeah.
atmosphere fills that whole thing literally.
But what they also did really well was what's outside of the head, and what were the things that went on in Riley's life that actually caused the emotions,
Yeah.
not the emotions that were left, but the two tied together well. I guess what I'm getting at is, like, I moved around a lot as a kid, and I went to 11 schools in 12 years to give you an idea. So and I didn't just move like across the city. I moved all over the country. Across. I grew up in Germany, for God's sake, and so there was a lot of culture shock everywhere I went. And they picked certain scenes that made sense, like the lunch scene.
Oh
Mhm.
Where she's eating by herself, and
Oh yeah.
they cut to that. They don't spend a whole lot of time on it, and then they cut back, and then there's an emotional reaction. And I really like the way that they handled that. That's where the gut punches came for me. Was there were so many ways they could have gotten that wrong. Like they could have picked emotional events in Riley's life that were contrived. That were written by a writer who didn't understand what it was like to move a lot as a child, and they didn't do that. I was
But
extremely
obviously,
impressed.
Dr. Drew from personal experience.
But also, again, that actually, when I mentioned the Thanksgiving thing, she was like, the original contrived thing they almost went for was going to be like she wanted a part in the Thanksgiving Day play.
Oh no!
that would've been-
Again, they
God.
smartly avoided. That was going to be like a subplot.
Oh,
Like,
that
she's
was-
in this.
That
She's
was a
in.
bullet dodge.
She was like in this new town, like in the new place, and like she wanted. I guess maybe wanted to make her. I'm just assuming. I have no idea. Actually, I'm just guessing. She wanted to make herself like kind of integrate better into the place, so she just I mean, in the play, people like me more. I'm guessing. And that's
Did
why
Mr.
she wanted
Simmons
to...
direct the play?
What?
Did Mr. Simmons direct the play?
Oh my god. Okay, but let me tell you.
Oh my god, Mr. Simmons was in this movie. Like, he was Riley's keeper. Okay, Riley.
How does that make us feel?
We all know that moving is difficult, but we're
Okay, but let me tell you what I think the film does. Let me tell you the best thing about the film is one of the best things they do in the film.
Yeah.
I think with what England's saying here, I think it's kind of a good jumping off point. That I think the film is coated in just exquisite layers of subtlety. You'll notice, like it's all about the subtleties of character motivation when you really think about it. It's all about sadness throughout the movie. One of the things I just noticed from the get-go, I always was really impressed by that sadness. She keeps touching the orbs. You really pick up on this on the rewatch too. Like, she's touching the orbs, and obviously, you're watching this and you're thinking, sadness, just don't touch the freaking orbs. Like, everyone's telling you, don't touch the stuff. And here's the important thing: sadness is compelled to do so. Why? And again, I love that it's kind of up to the audience's interpretation. It's how you interpret it, but I think it's because that's Riley needs to get to that place. And again, the ultimate revelation is that sadness is very key to this. But it's not just what says; it's all the emotions. What their motivations are in the head. Or what Riley needs to go is what she's going through emotionally, and that's like what the motivation is. Like, says, I don't know why I do these things, and that's why, because Riley needs to get to that place. They don't quite get their motivations, but they're compelled to do that. It was like a brilliant thing the movie did,
Yeah.
Well, I think it's brilliant on how they handled inside the head. But what you're talking about, like with the Thanksgiving thing, I think what I really appreciated from personal experience was the fact that, like, for example, that she didn't try out for the Thanksgiving play. That's just so that's like something you'd see in an Olsen Twins movie or some crap like that.
It's like, oh no, we can get the part.
Yeah.
I think another thing they avoided to cause cheap drama was like the whole, I didn't get a spot on the hockey team.
Yeah.
And that's something that could have easily fit into the story too.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Exactly, but more what they did was so take the broccoli pizza, okay?
Yeah.
I moved to
Congratulations, San Francisco! You ruined pizza.
First of all, Hawaiian.
Now you.
I moved to the U.S. from Germany at about the same age that Riley was. And I came back, and, there's all these little cultural differences. I mean, we had Burger King and McDonald's and stuff like that, but, you can't get schnitzel and spätzle and all the stuff that I grew up with that I really liked. And granted, I grew up in an American household, so I ate, quote-unquote American food. But you come back, and it's completely different. And that reminded me of that. And you flip that around, look at it from someone moving from the United States to I don't know, Germany, France, Asia, and they get the food is different, the culture is different, and that's not comfortable when you're 10. I mean, heck, it's not comfortable for people when they're 30 sometimes.
Sure, yeah.
And they chose that as one of the things. They used it as a comedic way, but that kind of tells you, okay, she's not comfortable with this. That's that first hint. But they never went with something grandiose. The next thing that was she's in school and she's being called out. I hated that. I was just like, I just want to sink into the back of the room. I don't know anybody. They don't know who I am. I don't know who they are. I don't know what whatever. And there's the cool kids over there because they knew each other from last year and they lived down. All of that, the little cliques, all of that was just done so perfectly. And again, they could have gotten it all wrong. They could have, instead of discussing...
They could have done a bully subplot. I'm so impressed they didn't do that. They could have done like a Mean Girl subplot, which Rashida Jones voiced that girl, by the way.
Exactly.
One of my favorite details in the movie is at the very end when you see that her primary emotion is fear.
That's brilliant.
Right.
That was like, okay, that...
Yeah.
And
here's
that whole end credit sequence. That's great stuff.
I mean, again, the whole thing is just dripping. You can tell.
They should get just give Inside Out the Oscars that Crash won, and also King's Speech's Oscar. Just hand both of those over to Inside Out.
I agree. But I mean, and then the next is the lonely lunch. And I remember I moved to Seattle, and that was the worst lunch because it was in high school. and they had. I'm not trying to talk all about myself. I'm just saying that.
No, that's fine. Don't worry
It's
about it.
okay. It's relevant.
They had, they had a little cafe there, and there was this whole coffee culture. They had not a
Sure,
Starbucks,
sure.
but coffee is huge in the Pacific Northwest, and even in the '90s. And they had a coffee culture. Like, I didn't know what a vanilla frappe, whatever the hell,
Mochaccino.
Well, it was a double vanilla latte became my drink of the day. But nobody, I didn't know what that crap was. Starbucks wasn't everywhere yet. I moved from freaking Monterey, California, and it wasn't in Monterey. And before Monterey,
Yeah.
I lived in Springfield, Virginia, which is a suburb of Washington, D.C. And before that, I lived in Kansas. I didn't know what any of this crap was.
Right.
And so you have to learn all this stuff, and they just handle it so perfectly. And there's so many ways where she's feeling alone without them doing the cliche quote unquote alone stuff like the bully subplot or the I'm going to try to be popular plot or any of that. It was very realistic. And then you carry that over to the next experience, which was the hockey experience, and it's the same thing. It's just like when I would try out for a soccer team. It was very hard for me to go out, and I don't know any of these people, and some of them are really good, and I'm not the best soccer player.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm nervous, and I tripped up, and I was embarrassed, and I got into fights, and all of that stuff that happened there, I can watch this movie and go, okay, yeah, that's where anger took over. I remember this as a kid. That's where anger took over, and they just handled it so well by not going cliche.
And
I feel like this is a perfect movie to introduce kids to the concept of psychology.
Yeah. So beautiful. And let me say one thing. It was piggybacking off the last thing England said there about the whole the hockey tryout thing. Now, again, what's so brilliant about just kind of how the movie progresses, and again, is how it kind of justifies the whole. Basically, what's happening in her head is definitely related to what she needs to do to ultimately get where she's going. Again, think about this. It's so greatly that the three emotions that are in control are the ones that really don't mix well together at that point in time, and that's why joy and sadness are the ones who are kind of supposed to be sucked out of there because she needs to go through that process to make that realization. Almost, it's like that's why anger, disgust, and fear aren't really the most positive emotions, and they're going to put her through that kind of that more like I don't know what to do. I'm forgetting all my good stuff, and again, it's like why the core emotions are going because she's like redefining herself in this new place. Again, all makes this really great cohesive sense, and all this great like stuff up to interpretation. I really love about this movie.
Well, and when you look at it, the three emotions that were left, and this was again brilliant. Joy, by losing joy and sadness, even though sadness isn't the most. Even people don't like to be around people who are sad, but by the same right, it is a bonding emotion. When you've got that family member that's sad or that close friend that's sad, and you listen to them talk, and you let them vent, and then you give them, your support. It is a bonding emotion that turns into joy. The two work really well. The rest of the emotions, if you're angry all the time, people don't want to be around you unless you're doing a comedy show like Lewis Black. Fear, people don't want to be around people who are afraid. In fact, people who are afraid all the time, they don't want to be around other people. And
exactly, I can relate to that.
Oh, I love Bill Hader in this movie.
Disgust is the same thing. I mean, if you're around somebody who's always commenting about how, why'd you wear that? Why are you doing that? Da-da-da-da-da. And we've all known somebody like that, or somebody who's been like that. You don't want to be around that person. And so she's left with the three emotions that are the most isolating, which is what makes it even a deeper plot story. Without joy and sadness, she just wants to push the whole world away. And that is exactly what happens in the movie, and that is exactly what happens when you move a child around like that. I mean, it's absolutely brilliant. And I can't go on about it more.
From the moment I saw in the advertising, I think I mentioned this before, but the minute I saw not just the advertising, like there's like a clip they showed. So again, whether we should see the clips or not, obviously we should have to just be surprised by it. But the point is, we saw this clip of like her putting her in the circle of sadness. The minute I saw it, I was thinking that's such a brilliant notion of basically sadness being the emotion in the head that is necessary but is not really liked, and joy being joyful and not trying to be mean or anything. Just keep it in a circle of sadness. You want today to go perfectly, and seeing it unfold in a movie like so, joy is all positive and everything, and then later on, as the plot reflects, we have the subtleties of emotion where it's like joy can feel a little sadness, and that's what she does to kind of realize we need sadness.
Yeah, there's something I like in this movie is how, like, for some reason I especially notice it with fear, but how these emotions they're not just their emotion. Like, say, fear isn't just some total coward who's like scared of the slightest noise or whatever. Like
Yes, hints of
I
depression.
totally agree. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
stuff like that.
As a matter of like when he's one of the funny scenes in the movie when he's watching he's on dream duty and he's like I love how catty he is towards like the production saying that is the worst acting lame.
I remember hearing like they stopped by SNL or something for a week to study how they do shows like that.
Oh, did they? Cool.
The dream stuff was some of my favorite illogical logic.
I love what they do with the dream
That's
stuff.
a great Pixar movie. You have the brilliant illogical logic. Like, well, how would you film a dream? Well, okay, I have a little filter on. You have like just the bearded crew guy with the megaphone.
Yeah, there is some of the fun of this movie, like
the POV shot.
Yeah, I mean, like just imagining like oh, maybe my mind is like that, and imagining, connecting this with yours, like say, what are my emotions like? What are my core memories? What are my islands? What's my imagination like?
Exactly.
Which I've heard is something that Pete Dog was really impressed by. All people are really impressed by that. Kids are really receptive to this movie so far. I mean, parents are really ones that are truly kind of gravitating towards the movie. How can you blame them? But kids are really smartly getting the messages of like Pete Dyer referenced like he knew someone's kid or something. It meant the guy told about his son, and his son was afraid to dive off of the diving board. But then he kind of had the he ran through the emotional gambit like the movie. Just picture what suppressing certain emotions. He realized, well, that's just how I'm feeling because of that, and he jumped in the pool and he conquered his fears because he kind of.
That is wonderful. That's wonderful.
Exactly, and I think the movie kind of has a potential to really connect to kids, and I think it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Well, and I like that it doesn't discount children.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't. It handles it in a way that's accessible to children. But that kids have emotions. I don't live with. I'm being way too personal, but I don't live with my daughter anymore, and I see her a couple times a year. We Facebook or not Facebook, but FaceTime, and we chat and stuff, but it sucks. And I get the tough questions. I get the, Daddy, why are you and Mommy not together anymore? And I can't tell her the whole story. And she's 10. She's the same age as Riley in this movie.
You're younger, but yeah.
Well, okay. Well,
Sorry.
She's gonna be 11. She's gonna be 11 in a month and a half. So.
Okay, close enough.
Yeah, close enough. So again, I'm watching the movie and I'm thinking, I'm seeing her little anger and her little fear and her little joy, and her little sadness in her head, and it got to me. I will say about the dream production, and then I'll pass it. I'm sorry, Blue. But the one thing I really liked was they did the crumbling teeth. Are you guys familiar with the analogy?
Yes, well, of course, I'm familiar with it because I did a whole, we did the Journey into Imagination, and it was all revolving around dreams, and I did a whole segment, an extended segment about teeth falling out.
The teeth falling out.
I'm not sure I get it.
Remember Riley in her dream? She had
the teeth falling,
Yeah, there's some random thing like she was afraid, oh no, my teeth are falling out.
Well, basically, with the psychological implication, if you have a dream about your teeth falling out, or crumbling, which I've actually had these dreams, is that your world is falling apart and you're losing control. And so if you go to a psychologist and you say, I had a dream about my teeth crumbling, and you'll remember this dream. It's hard to explain until you've had one, but once you have it, it's one of those dreams that you'll wake up and remember. Because it's terrifying, and it's actually.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
And it basically, it deals with anxiety and it deals with depression. And I'm not trying to get too personal, Tiki. I'm sorry but.
No, because I've had the same dream, so don't worry about it.
But it's the fact that they included it in the movie to me shows the strength of the movie. They're not talking down about the subject. You may not understand it. You might see it and just see the teeth falling out and think, oh, it's an artistic choice. It was not an artistic choice. It was a very specific choice.
They did their research.
This entire movie is filled with that. everywhere. And I'm sure there's stuff even I didn't notice. You know,
that's one of the beautiful things about this movie.
Like you'll notice, all the shelves of all the memory orbs, they're in the shape of like a sort of like kind of the brains, the various little curvatures of the brain.
Right.
Because they didn't want to go Osmosis Jonesian with stuff. They really tried not to as Pete thought, just like dendrites and brainstems. Almost, they didn't want to get into that sort of like all the Osmosis Jonesian stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just wanted to show like just the concepts of the stuff, the smart ideas, all that stuff. And really quickly, I want to tell you this. Again, I watched a lot of interviews and stuff. Lewis Black, when he was approached for it, he read the script. He said, "Oh man, this is not going to end well." He was really concerned like if the movie's going to be good or not at first.
Oh really?
I mean, don't get me wrong, he was all for it. But the first time I read the script, he had a lot of reservations, saying this is going to be the worst Pixar movie they've done. This is going to be their flop.
In terms of financial success,
well, the story wise, he thought the story was like, no, this is going to fail. This is going to be this is going to be their flop. Just reading it the first time, it is a real risky thing. It's a real hard thing to pull off. I mean, it's an ambitious script, and the way it plays ultimately. We're fine. Remember, this is probably during also the whole fear and sadness.
Okay, so it was during that period. Okay.
Yeah, I assume so. That plus seeing things come to fruition probably because there are always changes in scripts. I mean, this is like when he was initially offered it. He had a lot of reservations.
Right.
But, eventually it was sold, and so
I mean, but again, the way they handled his character though was perfect. What I loved is the entire time, and this is where I think they were playing more to the adults. But we were all expecting a Lewis Black rant. I mean, come on.
First the Hawaiians, now you.
Yeah, well, but he never actually. I mean, he had little hints, but he never did it. And what I loved was that they could have gone with these tropes where they had the classic arguments, disgust and anger and all this blah blah blah. They did it a little bit for plot convenience, like where disgust played anger at the end with the to get his fire going. But the classic one is where anger calms down. He's building up. He's got his fire going. And he goes,
the first broccoli bit.
Yes, we got an airplane. It's like,
we got an airplane, everyone.
Yeah, that showed you the movie's not just going to do the traditional stuff like, oh, I'm always angry. It's like, no, he has his off time. It's really neat. And again, I love this. They really specified that anger is not just like pure rage and pure fire. It's just he's all about fairness. Of like, if Riley's being mistreated, you'd be angry about that. It's like, well, no, this isn't fair. We're getting the raw end of this deal. Even like the fun bit, it's not even just pure. Again, it's not just anger like gritting teeth anger. No, it's just like the bit where like he's. Like he has sarcastic anger too, which is hilarious. Like, oh, this is great. They don't have a bed. This toot toot. The whole this is getting better. Toot toot. Again, the editing is perfect. This is hilarious.
I feel like the same thing can be said about all the characters. Like they're all very three-dimensional. Like fear is like, he represents like keeping Riley safe, and anxiety, social anxiety. And of course, like abstract nightmares and stuff like that.
And like you would worry that anger turns into like again, we don't have a villain for this movie, but anger is sort of the pseudo.
Also, a transitioning point we should get into.
Well, he's kind of like the pseudo, as they kind of refer to, because Tiki, we've been through this a lot, but how they always say like in Toy Story, there's not really a villain, even though Sid is just kind of Sid's the villain, so is the dog. But sometimes you look at it like he's just like a kid.
I say Sid's the villain, man, because Sid terrified me as a kid. So I would definitely put Sid as a villain.
I'm saying as a kid, he's the villain. When you look at it with hindsight, he's like, he's just a really demented. Like even like the animators say they turned out to be that. They were that kid when they were that age. They're not bad guys. The point is. You look at that movie, like you look it up on Wikipedia or something. Sometimes it would say like Mr. Potato Head. It's not Wikipedia, it's something else. But like, Mr. Potato is like the antagonist of that movie. When you're thinking, he's really just kind of like he's the guy who has the misunderstanding. Like, he's the one jumping to the conclusion. Oh, Woody's trying to kill Buzz, murderer. Like he's the one who's just always misunderstanding things, just jumping the gun.
Right.
In Toy Story 3, the whole Woody, Jesse was wrong. He's just a negative guy. And anger is kind of in a similar boat, but he has the realization smartly towards the end there of like the whole. Oh no, we gotta undo this. Like the whole like the idea. I love the ideas of the light bulb.
That was awesome. Yes.
Yes, and I love it. It's just locked in there. They can't get it out. It's like Inception. You've cemented the idea that you can't take it out now.
But I feel like Anger, like, there's no way you can call him antagonistic because
Of course
he was
not. Yeah.
he's coming at it from such a genuine place of like, oh, we need to get more core memories, and the place where we have the happiest memories is Minnesota, so we need to go back to Minnesota.
You absolutely understand where he's coming from. Like, yeah, Mr. Day, you understand.
Yeah,
where
you understand where everyone's coming from in this movie, pretty much. Like,
Well, but
Yeah.
again, you
Most
think
lot
about it
people.
though. Anger is what gets you to do anything, and that's what this movie displays. I mean, it's a mix between anger and disgust. Those are your motivational emotions. Angry. I'm angry at you. I'm going to break up with you. It's not. I'm happy with you, and I'm going to. See what I guess what I'm getting at, and the movie shows it well, is that you can make jump decisions out of anger, which is what running away does, and out of anger and confusion, and but eventually you'll calm down. And again, since they didn't make the characters cliched, since they made them nuanced and three-dimensional, anger comes to regret his decision.
yeah.
And that's exactly how things work in your head. I mean, I ran away from home. I'm going to be flat out honest. And I made it all the way to a friend's house where I slept in a bush.
Right.
And then her mom found me. And they brought me in and they had breakfast, and I regretted it. But these decisions can be made. Snap decisions can be made when you're not well balanced, when you don't have all those emotions. I'm not trying to get like psychological with it, but it is psychological.
In the movie though, this is the one that gets psychological. But actually, can we talk about the roles of the personalities inside the heads? Because that's something people like to talk about. How the whole you'll notice in Diane Lane's character, Riley's mom, in her head, sadness is the lead emotion.
Yeah.
Sure.
Notice that anger is the lead emotion, by the way, voiced by Pete Docter, which is pretty cool. And they're all wearing mustaches.
I think fear should have been the lead emotion with the father.
Yeah, well, I don't know. He might be angry at the situation when he has to move. Maybe he's just in denial of it. Perhaps. Again, it's up to interpretation. Otherwise, maybe we don't know who's in charge periodically. It might shift who's in charge. We don't know.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of. But however, I don't know. Anger has like the lead chair, but again, they can just switch chairs. I don't see why they. But yeah, it's like anger is like the father has to be the authoritative type, and he has to kind of lead the charge. It might be like guarded anger,
Yeah, I don't. How would you think fear would be the? I'm curious, Tiki. Why would you think fear would be the lead for him?
Because of all the anxiety surrounding the move, and because every time you see him, he's constantly stressing out about his job.
Yeah, he's trying to start a business, I believe.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, a web startup, I think, is what I read. But that's my whole point. Is the anger becomes it evolves into motivation. So that's kind of why I would think anger would fit a little better than fear.
Yeah.
If you're afraid, I mean, come on. We've all met the 50-year-old guy who works at McDonald's.
We know he's not feeling joy because he's stressed out, obviously. So it's not joy. It's not necessarily sadness because he doesn't regret his actions quite yet.
Well, no, but it's just who takes the lead chair, and it's again. I think really all that was the anger versus the sadness was just a play on men are from Mars and women are from Venus. Have you guys read that book at all?
Well, I know the
heard of
reference, but I
know that.
Yeah.
Heard of the phrase, definitely.
Yeah, the phrase is famous because of the book. The book came out around the same time as Dr. Spock's How to Raise a Child, which was really popular in the 80s, and it's complete to me.
Wasn't that the inspiration for lip shits?
For what?
For lip shits?
Oh yeah, it is. Somewhat, yeah. Of course, just the gag from the name alone. But
yeah, I mean, the whole.
Where did you get?
Long story.
Okay.
Long story.
Wait. Hold on. I have my window open. What are you putting up, Monkey?
Oh, you gotta see it.
Cut out of Dr. Lipschitz.
Huh?
My cutout of Dr. Lipschitz.
Why do you have that?
I saw Chicago about a year and a half ago again, and I thought it would be funny to bring him along because of that been in Cell Block Tango. I've explained this before, I think.
What blows my mind is that handy for you for this webcast. That's what gets me. It's handy for you for this webcast. It's right there for you to grab.
It's so
Yeah, I
convenient.
know. Like you said, Lefkowitz, he's right there. Might as well.
Well, you know something about the sadness, though, which is with the mom character in general, which I really like better. By the way, again, I think Diane Lane, the parents didn't have a lot to do. And Kyle MacLachlan and Diane Lane did a good job, though, with the little they had. They conveyed a lot, which is always
I
good.
think this movie had about a 20 to 80% ratio of inside the mind to outside the mind, and I think that worked perfectly. It's a perfect balance.
Oh, yeah. Like, they had, like, their great bits of, like, you know, they can tell these are good parents, you know, like, they care about, especially with that ending. Of course, the third act was, drove home. These aren't just your conventional, like, oh, by the, like, you know, they're by the book parents. They're not angry at the girl. Like, they support her. They love her. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But anyway, so with the mother's, like, Louis Motion being sad, it's one thing I noticed. Is, like, she is, you can tell she's, like, a little sadder about things if you think about it. You know, like, the move is kind of a bit of a toll. We can imagine, like, she moving maybe is, like, a little more on her sleeve. That how upset she is, but she's trying to hold a strong face for the father, which is something she imparts to Riley, which is a big reason for her emotional upheaval.
Right.
Like, holding, she's putting on a brave face for her father. And again, I love that motivates Joy. We have to get up there because she needs to be joyful. But my little bundle of joy, and the whole thing, like, you know, she needs to be joyful, but she can't because Joy is at a command right now. And you know, it's just interesting. Like, she's burying the sadness, but sadness being the guiding thing of, like, you know, I'm feeling sad right now, but we gotta have these other things in control right now.
But I think sadness is a little more than that too. And the movie shows it really well. Sadness is also reflection.
Yes.
It's
exactly.
It starts the movie, and this is really, I mean, growing up, this is so accurate. I mean, when you're young, you never want to be sad, but it's part of life, and it's about reflecting, you know, on these memories, and that's why the touching. You talked about the motivation. That's what's happening. You know, I take my kid to Disney, but I don't see her every year. But she has fond memories of Disney. But there's some joy in there, and there's some sadness.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
See my point?
Yeah, and something to kind of potentially read into with the beginning is that, again, I don't know, I could just be completely getting this wrong here, but the way might interpret is that, again, your first two emotions, joy and sadness. Now, again, just joy is like you come out of the womb, you're happy to be born. I can imagine. You know, you get a laugh when you first come out there, and sadness upon realization of stuff. And the thing about it, perhaps if she had any other emotion in that moment, I'm just speculating here. Perhaps it might have been maybe not a metaphor, but, you know, like a symbol of imbalance. If it was like, sadness and joy are a really good balance to each other, and they're kind of really necessary for anything. Mm-hmm. Had it been like joy and anger, it might have been like a girl was a little more prone to anger over the other thing. Perhaps. I'm not saying it's set in stone or anything. I'm saying it could be like an interesting thing to think about. It could be like had it been any other emotion, like how you get with other kids.
I get that, like underlying personality traits.
Yeah, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think a lot of that's developed later.
Sure.
But no, I like where you're going with that. You know, of course, the guy born with double anger turns out to be Hitler, but.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rule 33. Sorry.
Oy.
Oh God.
Okay. Should we address the elephant in the room? One could say.
Oh dear, there's so much to get to.
Well, maybe like the elephant cotton candy dolphin thing.
You know what? I was gonna have a clever cue for Adventure Blue Dude to come on as sadness, but instead I'm just screw it.
Don't you mean joy?
Joy, yeah. Anyways,
although blue and sadness, but
right.
Well, we're all sad that he's not here. We're gonna be joyful when he shows up. In the meantime,
Dragon, you're blue. Tiki and I both have blue shirts at the moment.
My favorite color is blue.
We'll just have to speculate on what color shirt Adventure Blue Dude's wearing, because he'll be coming on in just a minute. I just sent him the link.
I'm gonna take a guess at green or white or brown.
I'm gonna guess
based
green.
on is that based on his previous attire?
Green or white or brown. That's just what I'm gonna go with.
I'm gonna go with.
Or maybe he'll be shirtless. I don't know.
What?
I would hope not.
It would make things interesting.
How joyful.
Brown.
Somebody say blue?
We've been saying it a lot lately.
Am I blue?
What will I do? I don't know.
Is that a clue?
What?
Is that a clue?
It may be.
I don't know what you're talking
We're referencing old television series.
Wait. I see
What?
Bluth. I see the
It's
word
Bluth.
Bluth.
It's Bluth.
Yes. It's not Don Bluth. It's fucking Arrested Development.
There's always money in the banana stand. Never
Yes,
forget.
I see the top of the banana. I got excited for a minute. I thought you had some kind of cool like Don Bluth shirt on.
I assure you I do not. Though now I want one. I would like to
Blue's
find
clothes.
Yeah, now I want a Bartok the Magnificent shirt.
That's really random, but okay. Sure.
For on Bluth shirts.
Now I want a 5 Goes West shirt. Alright, so we've been talking for like 2 hours, and I feel like there's still a lot to get to. Oh my god.
Well, maybe, I don't know if it's that much. I think we just some recording music, and then we get
I
to...
thought it was a train for a sec.
What?
I thought it was a train at first. Mr. Blue Dude's Wild Ride. And it'll have 2 tracks.
Come on,
because
and
you're from
all the
East Coast.
devils are Mew. Just little miniature versions of Mew.
No, Mew's the judge.
Yes.
Can we get back to the inside of some little girl's mind?
Well,
Never. No comment. Alright, anyways.
So,
Yes.
is this the first time we've had 5 people on a live show?
it
Probably
might
not.
be.
More than 4?
I want to say it might be.
Yay!
I don't know. I'd have to think about that one.
I think it is.
How many did we have for that one show where I left for like an hour?
That was just me and Mew. And you.
Oh, okay.
Well, the Brave Little Toaster commentary had technically like 8 people on it, didn't it?
I thought that was just the 3 of us.
Well, I mean,
Well,
2...
yeah, he's talking about the appliances
Oh,
that
yeah,
I
I
had.
forgot about that.
I had the toaster, the blanket, the vacuum, the lamp, and the radio all in frame.
and the 2 of
It was
us.
beautiful.
But anyway, so Inside Out. Inside
Okay,
Out.
Yes.
so should we go to our pink friend, or should we, anything else we want to go over before that?
I mean, I don't, like, what specifically do you want to bring up about Bing Bong?
Well, I mean, you know, like the big thing with Bing Bong.
Oh, the
Yeah, or
Well,
and
I'm
I might
saying
have
in general,
a thing or
but
two
also
to
the
say
big
about
thing.
him.
What is death? I mean,
spoilers.
Well, it's just talk about kind of the what the guy looks like. You know, it's kind of an interesting idea.
Okay.
About what he looks like.
Well, we're saying the concept of the guy. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I have stuff about what he looks like, kind of, but sort of.
you know what? I have an idea. Why don't we run through and tell everybody what our imaginary friend was when we were a kid? Because mine was not a dolphin, cotton candy. That was way too contrived. I had little people that lived in the walls. That was yeah. They were little.
Like
I'm
Martin?
dead
You mean
serious.
Martin Freeman? No, I'm sorry.
I'm dead serious. I don't remember this at all. This is something my mom told me. There were apparently they had names for them, and they had cities that were built in the walls.
Oh, no. Oh,
There were these little, like,
That's a cartoon.
Arian,
No, it wasn't the
Well, that's a
Littles.
movie with John Goodman.
Yeah.
You're thinking of the Littles or
Yes.
Fraggle Rock. It
It's the
wasn't.
Littles.
It wasn't the Littles. These were tiny little people, maybe like a half an inch tall. The Littles were at least like 3 or 4 inches, and I didn't get exposed to that till I was about 6.
Okay.
But that was my imaginary. What was? I mean, did your imaginary friend, like, was it a combination of like a teddy bear with a cotton candy with a lot?
I had a stuffed dog, like anthropomorphic dog thing named Marty, and I would carry him around and like go on trips with him and everything like that. So yeah, I had something like that. In terms of imaginary friends, like I'm trying to think. None that I can recall, although I do remember, like, you know, of course, when you're a kid, you do, like, that whole, and I feel like this is kind of, like, maybe getting lost to kids nowadays because of the whole, like just kids freaking literally, like, born with a freaking smartphone in their damn hands nowadays.
I hate seeing, like, a 9-year-old girl with a smartphone.
Don't even get me started. That's a whole different podcast.
No, don't get me started because I have a 9-year-old asking me for a smartphone, and both me and her mom.
Don't give it to her. Tell her to earn it.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's exactly right. We'll tell if she wants to go out and go door to door and sell Coca-Cola or whatever to people's houses and earn the money, she can have a smartphone.
Yeah.
Otherwise, no. And but I guess I'm a curmudgeon. I'm not cool.
I'm still rocking this beauty. Isn't it great?
You want a smartphone? It's called a landline. Learn to use it.
If it makes it feel better, apparently the Peanuts movie is going to use rotary phones.
Yay!
Oh,
seriously?
thank God!
Seriously? Did they confirm
Yeah,
that?
I've been meaning to tell you that for a while.
Thank you now.
There was a new trailer for the Peanuts movie that
But I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, it
Rotary
I
phones.
saw it somewhere. It still looks wonderful. It looks good. This is gonna be great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
Me too.
Anyway, so
Inside Out. Okay.
Inside Out,
Well,
Bing Bong.
all right,
Thing.
so-
This the idea of her having an imaginary friend seeing that play out, you know?
Yeah, it was fun, and I didn't catch until the second time how there's a scene in the beginning where she's drawing him on the wall and singing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I love seeing the lava thing early in the movie too, like you she's jumping on
Yeah.
lava, and you see later on with the whole lava. Because I'll admit, I did not imagine. I don't think I can't recall imaginary friend, but I do remember the lava thing. I did the lava thing all the time.
Okay, so
I remember the lava bit, especially when I'd stay in hotel rooms for some reason. I'd be
I
like,
get that.
oh, lava on the floor.
Yeah.
Seriously, how cool is the lava thing when you're a kid? Seriously, it's like it's the most handy thing. It's like what involves you in the thing. You jump around like the tiles or stuff.
it was lava, or it was a rushing river, or it was something.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I think everybody's done it. Then we made like sofa. Did you guys ever make like the sofa castles?
Oh,
I
heck,
did that in
all the
college.
time. All the time.
I wanted to. I didn't really do it the way I always like wanted to, but like it made pillow version of like a fort, you know.
It's the same thing. Yeah, same concept. But I think both of you tied into something. I mean, notice neither of you remember your imaginary friend. I didn't either. This is coming from my mom. And notice again the movie how they get it right.
Jeez.
She forgot her imaginary friend.
Which is tragic.
I guarantee if either of you go ask your parents, they remember your imaginary friend when you were 2 or 3 or 4.
Now I'm curious. Oh my God, my mom would definitely remember something like that.
That's just my take on it now that I've had a kid, and based on the fact that I don't. When I saw that, I was like, this is so brilliant. It's not really a death. This is exactly what happens, and this is why this movie is so brilliant in the way that they do these little things when you really think about it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like I think the whole Bing Bong element is one of the standout things of the movie for me personally.
How great is Richard Kind as Bing Bong? No, I'm sorry, Monkey.
Yeah, he does well. It's like, I mean, like I had no idea he even existed before they found him in the memory banks, and you know, throughout the movie, you want Riley to remember him.
Yeah.
Like you want him to, succeed in, you know, getting back in Riley's, you know, sort of memory, having him remember him, like I said, and that ends up not happening. He ends up just being forgotten, and he accepts this.
Yeah.
He accepts it. Like for me personally, I think his fading away is one of the
Oh God,
ultimate sad Pixar moments for me.
oh, that's so beautiful.
Like I don't think I nearly tear up in movies much, but you know that, and of course the big climax were definite contenders. And if I may,
I said this before on our first reaction show, but I honestly thought the sadder moment, like I thought him fading out was just kind of like the wrap up of his plotline. Don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful moment.
It is.
I thought the sadder moment, the one that was more of a gut punch, was when
Like
he
grabs
lost his
Julie?
wagon.
Oh.
Huh?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
When he lost the wagon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're like, no, I still made that. We gotta
Yeah,
take
yeah.
come on.
But you know that kind of
That is
ties.
basically when it's kind of like sinking in for him.
No, you know what's great? The follow-up, because first of all, that foreshadows brilliantly kind of our final act of that movie.
Oh,
where
yeah.
It's like the whole just sadness. You know, he sits down with him, and that's what sadness is. Sadness is a really good listener. She's the need for catharsis. You know, she's the one you need to go through to go to that emotional. Kind of emotional end place you need to go to. And like she listens to Big Mom air out his problems, gives a hug, and that's it. Then he's better. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Enjoys it.
You know, it's interesting because what you're talking about listening and learning from the past, sadness again encompasses that. I mean, think about how you learn. As you get older, you know, the reason why it's not as simple as you don't touch the hot stove. The reason why you don't make certain decisions as you get older is because you've made those decisions before, or you've seen someone else make those decisions, and it evokes sadness. I mean, I thought it was brilliant. I mean, I'm sorry, I just I could go on way too long.
Yeah, and also this, for me, I have this weird personal connection with Bing Bong, and I'm pretty sure it's something that's just me, but have any of you gentlemen ever experienced Piglet's Big Game in some way?
Piglet's I'm sorry.
Piglet's Big Game.
I think I remember that.
Yes.
Vaguely
Yes, I
remember.
have. It was a video game tie-in to Piglet's Big Movie, right?
No,
Yeah,
that's what
like-
I'm remembering. Big movie, not big game. Sorry.
Yeah, it didn't follow
Like
the movie.
PS1?
Or PS2 or something. I experienced it on
PS1.
GameCube. Yeah. I played it on GameCube.
Oh, on
but,
GameCube, really? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it was a GameCube one. But anyway, so in that game you have Piglet going into the dreams and he has to face Heffalumps and Woozles. It's honestly kind of creepy for a young child. Like, maybe we could do a scary adventures on it someday.
I would be down.
Maybe not. but yeah, and Bing Bong's design, and it's a bit of a role reversal because Bing Bong isn't he's a friendly, but his design really reminds me of Heffalump you would find in that game.
That's an awesome point.
But real quick, something about Bing Bong. It's so important. When I first saw the movie, I thought he was going to turn into a bad guy the first time I saw him.
People did say that, yeah.
Because remember what he was doing? He was stealing memories. Now, what he was doing wasn't actually stealing. He was just kind of like trying to hang on memory. I assume they're memories he was in. And he's just trying to like collect them so like they don't go away or anything. So like when he meets Riley, he'll bring them to the main memory bank, or either that or he'll have them around just to remember the girl by, because it's so tragic. He's like on his way out, he's just clinging to it as much as he can. And again, it's just I love it. Just the idea, this guy's just kind of this fun tramp-like character, like kind of like the Charlie Chaplin-esque, kind of like with the fingerless gloves and like the jacket and everything, and it's fantastic.
Well, another way to look at it is instead of memories that he's in, are memories that he'd want to participate in.
Oh,
Because
that's even
Because you would
that's
you would assume he would have to be taken to headquarters at some point in order to control the interactions with, or be involved somehow with headquarters, or I guess he's got his own headquarters. I don't know.
I'm so glad they didn't go the contrived villain route of like, oh well, it's so obvious this guy's maybe on the other because he's stealing things at first, but no, just instantly like, no, I'll help you guys. It's just so genuine because for a moment, just only in that one scene that I think for a moment, I might just try to like pickpocket him or something.
See, yeah, you know what this video is missing at the bottom is we need a contrived count where they could have gone a different way.
Yeah.
I think we're at like 30 now or something like that.
Yeah, I think we are. Oh no, yeah. But again, so who's your friend who likes to play big bong? So that I sends a chill up my spine. That whole last act. First of all, Richard Kind has gone on the record saying, originally there was a longer cut of him kind of shaking Joy for a moment, just saying, "Joy, we're finished. We're down. Stop, Joy." And pretty much the whole we're trapped down here. That whole bit went on a little long, a little more somber, a little more serious, which basically went off 40 more seconds, I think, 30 or 40 more seconds. And then when Richard Kind, he really brought it for that role. He did a lot of hilarious comedy, but also did some really good drama. It was the whole
oh yeah,
just waving. I'm just the last thing I'll say, but this is when he's just waving goodbye and disappearing. He says, "Take her to the moon for me, Joy." Oh, it's so beautiful. And he jumps a heroic sacrifice. Yeah. I love how the memories are just you can see them in the orbs too, which you'll get a lot of Easter eggs too. That's one of the Pizza Planet trucks is in one of the orbs. And
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, and also you can see like the up.
Carl and Ellie are also, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
The only Easter egg I cared about was Figment.
Figment.
I wish I
I
could.
remember, like, when I first saw, like, when they're going into imagination, like, I'm like, okay, is Figment gonna turn up? Is Figment gonna turn up? We had the Haunted Mansion thing earlier, so maybe he'll turn up.
I love the Haunted Mansion reference. Even I got that one.
Yeah.
Like, also we had a like dead Pixar character in this movie. We had Lenny.
Yes.
It's a little twisted if you ask me. But we got him in there. Of course, Luxo and all the class. A113, we got in graffiti.
Where is that exactly? I hear it's the room number, but I've never seen that. I hear it's graffiti, but the graffiti was kind of
It's graffiti. It's graffiti when she gets the phone call for the first time from.
Yeah, I thought about that. I noticed graffiti. I just couldn't make out the A113 in there.
This is one that you'll want to get on DVD and just like look for it. Because
Doctor is really
huh?
So Peter is like cruelly subtle about his Easter eggs. Like he really hides the pizza plant tracks. So people have to buy the DVD.
There's one I noticed when I just saw it today. Like when Riley is Skyping or whatever with her friend from Minnesota, one of the names on the side is Doc Pete.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, exactly.
I love that guy.
So Figment, yay, Figment. He's in a Pixar movie.
Speaking of animation, well, sorry, not just overall the things animated. But I was thinking about with Bing Bong. Remember you want to talk about the abstract chamber and the animation styles on that?
Oh, that's lovely.
Because I was just amazed by like, oh my god, they were even making fun of the cheap knockoffs by doing them better.
Ratatouille.
You know, they're doing the. They're doing like the really separated too. Like all the four forms of abstract thought. You know, like the shapes, the colors, color, the blocky digital style.
Don't lose your form.
This is when they're walking in the CG environment to when they're still transforming. You know, like through a few seconds. You know, it's like it's a 2D line in 3D computer animated space. That's awesome.
Yeah. Medium blending.
I think that was when I knew that Bing Bong wasn't the villain, though. That was where they, when he pointed up at the danger sign and he said, "See what? I forget the exact line, but it was like it says shortcut."
G-A-N-G-E-R. See, shortcut.
Oh, you know what's even funnier? I found a Spanish link of it. I was watching it in Spanish, and the a leak version of it, and the Spanish cut, they didn't change so he's pointing at it and he's saying danger in Spanish, but it says danger in English. It makes absolutely no sense at all.
And you know what's so great about kind of the illiteracy is that she was like 2 years old when she came up with the guys. It makes sense. He was
Right.
Well, you remember, back then, like, dinosaurs were all the craze and everything, so.
Animals.
And of course, we had some good dinosaur references with the window crashing.
Right, or that game in Imagination Land, along with the Nemo one.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The Where's Nemo game. It's something more clever than that.
Find me.
Oh, there you go. Find me.
Got that. Classic.
Oh yeah, and of course, as I mentioned this before, I mentioned like how awesome Tiki picked up on this more than I did when I was rewatched this. It really dawned on me with that fantastic Ginchino music that when Riley's born, the first emotion is joy, and then hence the term bundle of joy, and that just says you're a little happy girl, something like that. Just the idea she's the first emotion, and that's why she's our linchpin for the movie, and that's why she's kind of a pseudo-parent to Riley. It's just a brilliant notion. I love that structure at the end too, of like how the beginning she's saying, well, the narration is like Joy saying, my name, I'm Joy, and basically leading through the introduction of the emotions, saying, well, she's 11. What could happen? Of course, how that structures towards the end. That's beautiful.
All right. We've really been running the gauntlet with this thing.
No, we've really just got one last thing to talk about, I guess.
Yeah, well, if I may, love Imagination Land.
Oh, it is great.
Yeah, it's wonderful stuff. I'd love to. I mean, French fries come on screen. I wonder what are the odds that when those fries come on screen, everyone in the audience, somewhere in their mind, is like, I want French fries. I want those French fries.
I was there. That was me.
That was me also.
Yes.
Forget it, Jake. This is Clown Town.
Oh yeah, we got to talk about.
You know,
Okay, first of all, clown. Again, we had another kind of really big toast thing with
that was a huge Brave Little Toaster homage.
and he's the writer of the movie, one of the writers on the movie. He did the voice of Janice Klein, Josh Cooley, who did a really good job. He did the voice of Jekyll's Edge. And I mentioned this before. He's also the design thing. I'm convinced is a loving reference to Joe Ranft, who would dress up as a clown a lot of times. If you love clowns, you love magic. Wonderful little reference to the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, as a theater guy, I love the line, 6 years of drama school for this.
Of course.
Well, perfect. It just makes sense. Like, I just love when we get the gag before we see him pay off ultimately. Just like, he says, well, little girl sees a clown. I guess that's why it's a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently broccoli is quite a nightmare also. Like, like it's one of the serious fears.
Well,
it was the initial fear. And remember, that's the important. It was the first fear. Well, kind of.
Something.
Yeah, it was the first time Disgust showed up.
Yes.
And
that's why she looks like broccoli.
I think that's she does. I think that was one of the few times when they went a little cliche. You know, it's like there's what do kids dislike? Broccoli and Brussels sprouts. You know, I mean, come on.
Well, for that, we don't get the pizza gag.
Yeah. Again, though, this shows the balance of the writing.
Congratulations, England! You ruined the pizza gag!
First man eating meat, and now you.
When did he ruin the pizza gag?
When didn't he, really?
I'm sorry, England, go ahead.
Well, I think it's a little bit cliche to choose broccoli as the thing, but I think, again, that goes back to the brilliance of the writing. Because you have to make the film appeal to people who aren't looking at it at a deeper level, and so broccoli, that is a gag. Well, Frozen tried to do the same thing, and Frozen did it with nose picking and butt jokes. So
exactly.
Is my point made?
There's only one butt joke, okay? It wasn't
no,
like a
there's
series
two.
of them.
There's two, and he says, "Can you please grab my butt twice?"
It was running away, though.
Right, running away because the writers contrived it to run away.
It's kind of funny, though. It's grabbed my lower half. It's running away. It's kind of funny.
I'm not saying it's not funny. What I'm saying is that it's banal, easy humor. And broccoli, and kids not liking broccoli, that's the easy thing. But they could have taken the easy thing with everything else that they did, and they didn't. They didn't make anger. They made anger reasonable. They didn't make, disgust a snob. They made disgust.
They didn't turn Disgust into a valley girl. I mean, that's kind of what her character looks like on surface, but there's a lot more to her.
I kind of hold the theory that disgust is kind of an interesting thing. Where like if there were no other emotions, disgust I kind of view as like she was kind of the girl potentially at her core without any of the other guards of like personality in there. She could turn into just kind of the accepted norm for a girl, perhaps. Mm-hmm. Like she might become disgust if she doesn't have all those other things kind of filter out like what kind of emotion she would be feeling. It's kind of not much of a theory, but it's like a what if. It's kind of making it a little more important, I guess.
Well, I think if you blend fear and disgust, you get the Valley Girl.
Right.
Well,
there's a delayed emotion, right?
Well, there were several of them. They like started out with like 20 emotions or something.
Yeah, there
like
was.
That,
there was either like 20 or 37, but not 37. It was like 20. Only 27, but it was. Yeah, they
37.
Okay, haha.
There's a lot of main characters.
Seriously, there was a slew of them. At one point, there was a slew of them, but psychologically, there's like 6 emotions at their core, and then the surprise was another one. But surprise and fear are a little too simpatico, so they kind of limited their characters, so they made just fear.
Well, but when you think about it, it's a good blend. I mean, joy with fear is surprise.
Yeah.
I guess. I'm guessing here. It's.
Well, we see Fear get really surprised during that nightmare sequence, which is again surprising. Isn't the dog splitting in half? It's like him. It's like he's watching a David Lynch movie or something. Just freaking.
Pretty much, yeah.
And then the clown's is like okay.
Pick a plot line.
Yeah, I love how at first he's just looking at all the cliche. It's like funny. They do some of the. In addition to like the clever stuff with the teeth, they always do the cliche thing. Let me guess, we're not wearing pants. Oh, predictable. He's critiquing the dream. It just cracks me up.
But you know, when you think about it, where does criticism come from? Criticism comes from when you're critiquing a movie. It comes from the fear that you've seen it before, that it's cliche. We talk about it all the time. It's cliche. I've seen this. This has been done. This isn't new. It makes perfect sense for fear to be sitting there and critiquing the dreams. I just thought of that, but you know, it seems to make sense to me.
Okay. Well, so again, we've gone to like the visual spectacle, which just kind of goes without saying. Got into a lot of character stuff here. Unless there's anything you want to get to before we get to our big old third act moment to discuss. Anything else you want to?
What about the fact that there's no villain?
Well, I thought we kind of covered that, but we can go.
We kind of have, sort of.
Yeah, we
maybe.
have. That's true. That's true.
I really like how I'm sure it's gonna vary for people, but how, like, Joy could have turned out, at least from the start, being pretty unlikable and annoying, but I don't know, somehow it works.
And I'm in general not really a huge Amy Poehler fan.
I think it's funny. I'm not a big. Usually, I'm not like a big Tina Fey, Amy Poehler.
I was about to say, yeah. Tina Fey turned around with me too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love Tina. It's funny. They both have voice characters I really like. I mean, I love Roxanne and Richie from Megamind. Tina Fey is great. Also, I love Tina Fey in Muppets Most Wanted. And in this, I love Amy Poehler as Joy. She did a fantastic. I thought she did a really good job, and she gets a really good character play.
I'm sorry, Dragon, but like I'm seeing the movie for the first time, I'm thinking, I am so glad this is not another Rana. Because, like... Sorry, dude. Sorry.
But I do, seriously though, the best thing about Joy though, again, is with the whole movie, again, is with the whole caricatured look for these characters, how their expressions are pushed in that cartoony style, which again, for Joy, I've seen expressions I've never seen in a Pixar movie before, which I'm really impressed by. Yeah, it's really, and also like just how kind of elastic Joy is in her movements. Again, it's really cartoony. It really works. Really
and of course, the contrast between that and the real world.
Yeah. Also, like I'd say this is probably among Pixar's best human animation.
Oh, definitely.
Let me tell you what the upgrade was for this movie. Why they got really some of the good movements down for this movie. They used the new software. It's called Wacom Clintique software. It's like Ycom or Wacom. Clintique. Now, what this does is simply kind of makes the storyboarding process to animatic really quick. So basically, they can have finished animation, and basically they can draw over it to kind of show what movements they want over the drawing. Hence, that's why Joy's movements are kind of really fluid, or really they can replicate a 2D style over the 3D animation. It's really impressive.
All right. Do we have a? I don't really feel like we go too in depth on the big third act because I feel like it kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah, I don't know if I can think of many other movies that really have such a catharsis.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I remember. When
Here's
I was
a good
question
for you guys.
What?
And I honestly kind of want to make this into a podcast at some point. Just an interesting idea of like going around and kind of like in terms of like how would you rank the Pixar movies? Like, so as of right now, where does it stand?
Pretty high. I mean, I'd need to double check on a lot of the other Pixar movies, and I don't know if I can be entirely impartial to the first two Toy Stories, but yeah, I'd put this one pretty high at the moment.
I would make the bold statement to say that I feel like the only thing that Pixar has done that's eclipsed this is Married Life. Just the entirety of Married Life as a whole.
Do you mean Up or do you mean Married Life?
No, I mean Up.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know. I'm just saying. You're saying
the segment.
Okay, so you're saying. I'm asking, are you saying the segment or are you saying the movie?
I'm saying the segment on its own. Like, putting, like, no other context to it, just that segment. I don't feel like Inside Out reached that height, because, frankly, that is one of the best pieces of animation ever. Like, ever.
Oh, yeah.
It's a freaking landmark, I think. It's a modern-day landmark.
But you can't judge the movie by just that piece. I mean,
Oh no, and I'm not. I'm saying that's how strong the movie is. That's literally the only thing I can think of in Pixar's canon that this movie can't top.
yeah, but I mean, that's like saying Giacchino or one of the shorts was better than a movie. I mean, you can't. Was the rest? Here's my point with Up. Did the whole movie, the entire
No,
story,
and I'm saying it's a fantastic movie, England. I'm not saying. I'm trying to make a point of it being a fantastic movie.
No, I get that. I get that. I guess what I'm getting at is it just that beginning piece, or is it the entire movie as a whole that you think it's better or worse than Inside Out?
I feel like I feel like the high, like I said, I feel like Married Life is like a complete landmark in animation. Like I feel like that in due time is going to be just as iconic as something like Sorcerer's Apprentice or something like that. You know, it's a watermark. And I feel like Inside Out is a absolutely fantastic movie. Definitely there's definitely a ton of. I think there's for sure it's a more solid movie than Up all the way through. I just don't necessarily think that it quite measures up to the incredibly high watermark that is Married Life, but I'm not saying that is a bad thing. I'm saying that that's literally the one thing in the Pixar canon that I feel is stronger than this movie.
Cool.
You can't really compare the two, but
Why are you people trying to...
Well, it's like you're saying the one segment of the movie. You have to take the whole movie or not the little segment at all. What are you saying?
It's
You're saying
like-
the whole movie
I'm
is the
saying the one segment of the movie is one of the best pieces of animation ever.
Yeah, I think I get what you're saying. Yeah.
I think we all agree that opening segment of Up is epic.
Yes.
That's not the point.
It's
But it's
okay.
comparing apples to oranges.
Yeah, bingo. Thank you. It's the whole movie. How do we rate it as a movie? Because that was the question you asked.
Fine.
Well, you know.
Well, you can say that segment alone made Up as a whole movie better.
There you go.
I'm just saying that segment alone is the strongest overall segment. That
But do you
Pixar
think
has
that
ever
segment
done.
of the movie makes Up better than Inside Out?
No, I don't.
I don't think
Then
that's
you
what
think
he's saying.
Inside Out is better.
Yes.
Okay.
There we go.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying the high watermark of Pixar history. There is one scene and one scene only that I can look at and think is better than anything in Inside Out, and that is Married Life.
What you're saying is Inside Out is better, but it's not going to trump the Married Life sequence. That's
That's
basically
what
your
I'm
word.
saying, yes!
Could you word it like?
You went and
I'm so reflect on this one argument.
Okay, let me say this. So for me with the rain, this one's I think we're at a point in Pixar, at least for me, at a point where it's real. I would say Inside is in the top 5. I cannot bear to rank them. All I know is whatever
To me, I
Pixar
think
movies.
it's really the top 3, but that's just me.
Well, for me,
I'd put it in the top 2 with Cars 2 being one.
look, what I'm saying.
Oh, I love you, Blue Dude.
What I'm saying is that no matter, I mean, it's in the top 5 in terms of quality, but I can't at this point in Pixar. There's so many great ones. I can't bear to think what the other 3 in that category are. But I know, just due to nostalgia, due to the connections, just due to the quality in my heart, no matter what Pixar, even to the foreseeable future, whatever fantastic movies are going to come out with, I know my top 2 movies are always going to be in this order: the original Toy Story and then Up. And I'm not saying, I'm saying Inside is a fantastic film. I'm not like saying like quality-wise, but I'm saying those 2 will always be my favorite Pixar movies, and this one is really great. And I'll say this. Here's what I will say about it. It is the smartest, most brilliant movie Pixar has made to date. It is the smartest film Pixar's ever made. I will say that much. But it'll never be top those 2 in my heart, because Pixar's just so great making these classics that'll resonate with people, as I'm sure this will in future generations, you know?
I definitely agree with the original term Toy Story in terms of nostalgia, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, what'd I say?
Did you almost say Terminator?
No.
I could have sworn you said Term or whatever.
No, I said Toy Story.
Tremors. He was talking about Tremors.
Terminator 2 is the better one.
You know, there was a Terminator.
What are
There
your
was a
budget
Terminator
Terminators?
gag in the original Toy Story, actually.
John
Terminator
Lasseter.
Genesis is the best Terminator movie.
Like pull Woody's string. I'll be back, partner.
Well, they were gonna have Barbie be like Linda Hamilton from Terminator 2 in the original Toy Story. Then they got rid of it.
I just want to hear Arnold Schwarzenegger say, "There's a snake in my boot."
That was a snake in my boot.
Okay.
I
Vincent,
think,
there's a snake in my boot.
There's a snake in my boot.
I think for me, I mean,
Okay, now I just want to see Terminator with the Toy Story characters.
Okay, sorry, England, you were saying.
well,
Sorry,
no,
sorry.
Well, first off, I think Animation Domination or one of the other animated YouTube channels should definitely, if they ever see this podcast, pick that up. And
Please.
Toy Story Terminator would be incredible.
The Toyminator.
Well, actually, it'd be like.
there you go. The Toyminator.
Well, actually, we kind of have that with Small Soldiers. We have a toy version of Terminator.
No.
No, not really.
Vaguely.
No.
I consider Small Soldiers a toy version of Gremlins.
Yeah, actually, well, you are
I
right.
just
on
picked-
the toy version.
I'm just picturing Mr. Mike playing the Terminator theme.
Oh my god.
I want to.
I feel a song coming on. Okay, moving along.
But
I want to see the kid bring home a Terminator toy, and the Terminator toy have to deal with these younger kid toys. That would just be, it'll be like Toy Story all over again. The Terminator thinks that he's really the Terminator, and somehow he thinks that Woody is
Skynet.
John. Yeah, he thinks Woody is, John Connor for some reason. I mean, this could be
I can
great.
see this working really well as like
Oh
a
my
half-hour special like Toy Story's been doing.
Yeah.
The villain Terminator from Judgment Day can be made out of Play-Doh.
Oh,
Yes.
no,
Oh my
no, that's-
god.
That's even better. It's the kid. The kid is like 11 or 12, and his mom takes him to Terminator, and he comes back and reenacts it with all his toys.
Yes.
can we get back
So
to
the
Inside
Lego movie
Out?
Okay.
We're almost done Inside. Let's get back to it.
All right. Sorry. For me, it's all about release date. This is my number one film, but I have to look at the entire thing, and as it was released as I was growing up. When it first came out, I was 17 years old. Toy Story. When it came out, I was 17, and actually I was 18 at that. No, I was 17. So, and it just hit an interesting point in my life where these were actually. I had the Slinky Dog. Not the recreation that they sold. I had the original Slinky Dog.
I didn't know that was a thing.
I hate
was-
that recreations have the string in the head. How hard is it to get around the neck? Seriously, guys.
But
No, I thought Slinky Dog was an original character. I had no idea
No.
it was an actual toy.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
all,
Yeah,
all of
yeah.
those. Here's why Toy Story it was so. All those toys that you saw, Mr. Potato Head, and I could list them all. Literally,
Sure.
all of them were either exact copies, if they could get the license, like Slinky Dog and Potato Head, or they were very close copies to real toys that I grew up with in the 80s when batteries were expensive as fuck. And
They couldn't get G.I. Joe. That's why he's not in the movie.
well, yeah, when
And
they got
Barbie.
They got Barbie later.
They got Barbie.
They got
No, I know, but I'm saying
Not in the first one.
Well,
They
yeah.
were going to have Barbie. I told you, they were going to have Barbie in Toy Story. I don't know if they got it out of there because you couldn't get her or not, but
Here's how old Slinky Dog is, though, to give you an idea, Tiki, and you guys. My dad has Slinky Dog,
Jesus.
and I'm nearly 40.
so if I'm right, Slinky was in the 50s, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
And again, that's
Um,
probably maybe a subtle reason why he and Woody get along so well in the Toy Story movie.
Right?
These
Yeah, I
toys.
can totally see that.
And it goes back to Lasseter and him growing up, and these are the toys that he grew up with, and
The
a lot of those
Casper
toys.
doll.
Yeah, a lot of those toys carried over. But so it meant a lot to me because it was kind of like a trip back to childhood because that, at the time I was dating a girl and he had, she had a like 4 or 5 year old brother, and I got invited to the birthday party and he wanted all this stuff that was completely different from what I grew up with. And because I'm not trying to wax generational, but from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, the technology has changed so quickly.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't experience that from like growing up in the 90s to now,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you have to realize
I was there. Like I was like 8 years old when like the internet first broke mainstream. So
A
I completely remember it.
a Tamagotchi compared to an iPhone app.
Oh my god.
Oh, I had a
There are seriously people who
But
still
at the
have
time,
live
Tamagotchi was
Tamagotchis.
mind-blowing. You know, the idea of having a pet on a little keychain computer was freaking mind-blowing stuff at the
Do
time.
you remember Pet Rock?
I remember when I
Fine,
first
Pet
saw
Rock.
Mario 64, I almost freaking crapped my pants. I was like, oh my god, Mario in 3D?
I remember when I got a Game Boy Color.
I remember the GameCube was like the Xbox
Game Boy
for
Color.
me. I was like, oh my, I can play my other games on this bigger screen. It'll never get more advanced than this. And but
So I guess my point is, it's hard for me to judge them because I hit that generational release, I guess, that maybe the larger Pixar is going for. Toy Story reminded me of my childhood. Something that if I showed Toy Story to my kid, she doesn't look back and go, "Oh, that's a Slinky Dog. I had that at my daycare." She looks at it and goes, "Oh, that's whatever. That's a character."
It's Toy Story.
It's Toy Story.
Yeah.
Bugs Life didn't hit me like that. Bugs Life was just
I don't
stupid.
think
It was
Bugs
like
Life hit anyone.
hey, that was a good movie.
Yeah.
It was good,
I
but
haven't
it's
seen that since
commonly
it was in
acknowledged as one of the weaker Pixar movies.
to me, it reminded me of like Pixar tries to be a Seinfeld episode. It just didn't.
But it was funny.
It was all right. And then I saw Toy Story 2, and I was all hyped up because I'm like, Toy Story, the original, was just so amazing. And it was okay.
Sorry, Monkey, I agree with England. I think Toy Story 2 is in general kind of meh.
I like it, but it's definitely not as good as
It was
one.
that was like my first summer blockbuster, man. That was a memorable film.
I didn't even know about Toy Story 2 for some reason until it came
I know
out
it wasn't in
DVD.
summer, but it felt like summer.
DVD? Don't you mean VHS?
Fair point.
No.
Fair
Or-
I
point.
remember that.
Don't
I
you
remember
mean
that dumb
Laserdisc?
California commercial.
Laserdisc. I grew up on Laserdisc.
You lucky
Laserdisc.
bastard.
I copied. Remember, I said way earlier in the episode, I copied all the Fraggles episodes off Betamax.
Oh yeah,
On
that's
the
right.
DVD.
That's
You
right.
copied them all to Betamax?
Off of Betamax.
Jesus
I also
Christ.
copied our entire Laserdisc collection onto DVD. This is how I spent my time watching the original release of Labyrinth on Laserdisc, watching the original Thriller release, which was an hour-long release. It wasn't just the music video. It was the entire thing with the making of
Right.
on the original Weird Al, the Complete Al movie, the first
Oh,
one,
nice.
or UHF, which you can't find that. That's really hard to find online. I've got it. I've got the whole thing. I've got the Laserdisc original with all the add-ons. But the point is, all this hit me at the right, just kind of at the right time. But when Toy Story 2 came out, it disappointed me. Saw Monsters, Inc. Oh, well, actually, I didn't. I skipped Monsters, Inc. I didn't watch it. Because Toy Story 2 was just kind of like, okay, Pixar's going cliche. I get it. They're going to be just like, because you have to remember what was coming out at that time. 1999, Pocahontas 2, Cinderella 2.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And I kind of fell out of the Disney franchise. And I was really big into it through Lion King. When I saw Pocahontas, I didn't like it.
Well, no one did.
Well, the one that really
I
sunk
remember
me.
liking it.
My sister loves that movie. Shut your mouth.
Oh, that's a silly movie. That's
That's one of my sister's favorite movies.
The one that
Mel Gibson as Johnson.
Yeah, apparently Raimundo from Rocket Power is the raccoon.
What's the matter, BlueDragonFive? Mel Gibson's not a hunky hot heartthrob.
But the one that really
Coming
sunk
out
me
of the
was
waterfall almost shirtless.
the one, the one that sunk me
It's
was
Raimundo from Rocket Power as the raccoon.
Oh, jeez.
What?
Oh,
Wait,
God.
really?
Yeah, John
I didn't know
Cassidy as
that.
Oh,
the
that's
guy.
awesome.
Apparently. Sorry, I know we're somewhat irrelevant, but whatever.
Good.
the one that sunk me was Hunchback, where they tried to be comedic, but they tried to be dramatic, and they really didn't blend well for me. It was like it's not that. Go ahead.
Hunchback is the most underrated Disney film.
That is a good movie, I think.
I think Hunchback is overrated because of how publicly acknowledged as underrated it is.
It is?
To be
It
quite
is.
frank.
No, you're
If that
absolutely
makes any
correct.
sort of sense.
But no, you're
No, it
absolutely
makes sense. It does make sense.
Wait, so it's
Perfect sense.
underrated because it's over?
Even
No,
though-
it's
Overrated because it's underrated.
Yeah.
What?
I think it's overrated in circles, but also those people who overrate it don't really look at it. They're just like, oh, it's Hunchback. That's the song. That's the one with Hellfire.
Oh.
Yeah, Hellfire. It's so much more. It's the most operatic, and it's fucking incredible because of that. And I need to see the Broadway version.
BlueDragonFive, you obviously don't know
Oh,
about
whatever they're gonna end up doing with the stage one, who will?
It's
They are
made.
gonna do a cast recording.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay, at
Sort
least
of.
that. I heard that it was on hold until Frozen goes up. But
Oh.
I
I
really
know they're not transferring.
I
to
hope
Broadway.
they just say fuck it and do it, because it's done. They could open the theater and say come, but I
Yeah.
don't understand why
I mean,
they
like,
haven't.
they may have some kinks to iron out with the show itself, but
Oh,
yeah.
sure, yeah. If
Yeah.
not, I'm seeing the fucking German version. I don't care.
yeah, I saw it. I really liked it, but that's a discussion for the Disney theatrical podcast.
So anyway, getting to where this ends up with Inside Out.
Yeah,
Yes,
why this
Inside
Inside
Out.
with Inside Out. I'm not going to go movie by movie, but the point is,
Oh god, Hellfire with anger. I want to see this.
I pretty much skipped every movie until Incredibles.
Mm.
And
Oh, wow.
I watched all of them, like later on DVD or whatever.
Sure.
But Incredibles is where I came back into it. Thought it was thought it was really fun. Went and saw Cars, loved it. Skipped Ratatouille.
Oh,
that's a
no.
Oh.
Yeah, big mistake on my part. Skipped
Oh.
Wally. Skipped Wally.
Oh.
I did that.
I still.
I'm not too fond of Wally.
I've never
Wally's
finished
great.
Wally.
It
I've
is
watched
great.
it.
The first
dozens of
half of
times.
Wally is great.
Yeah,
You're
once they
Right.
get to the spaceship, I'm done with it.
That's
I-
exactly how I feel about Wally. I could care less about it once
But
I get
it's
to...
Jeff Garland.
But 2001
I did
reference.
not think you were going to say Goldblum.
In 2001 references that are entirely on the nose and just obvious.
Yeah.
But it's Hell is a Wheel.
And you're saying that as if that's like some sort of awesome, groundbreaking thing.
But it's like
Hell
he's
is a wheel, yeah, that's
It's
what
like
it
the
is.
fisherman spinning the wheel. I forget it.
You don't understand. It's cool
So-
for children.
I took the kid to Up and really enjoyed it. I mean, come on, it's Up. Toy Story 3, we saw at Disney World, loved it.
Of course.
And Cars 2, I thankfully skipped.
Well, sure, that one you skip.
Very,
That's the
very
only
wise,
Pixar
very
movie
wise
that
on
I've
your
yet to
part.
see.
Well, yeah. But, the one thing I regret is I went and saw Brave because I was really excited about it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was exactly my reaction. But I skipped Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh.
Wreck-It Ralph is really good.
It was
Yeah.
like next generation Toy Story. Oh.
I've seen it. Yeah, that's what Toy Story 3 should have been. But anyway, point.
I wouldn't go that far.
I'm not going to get into that. That'd be like a
People
whole
will get
other hour
confused with the
podcast.
change.
That's like saying
characters.
Hitler should run for office. I wouldn't go that far.
There's Super Rule 32.
Wait, where did that come from?
Wait, did you just say that's like saying if Hitler would run for office?
That's the most ridiculous. I'm saying to me that sounds ridiculous. Saying that Toy Story they should have been Wreck-It Ralph, but I'm sorry.
Good party.
Well, I didn't mean the exact plot. I just meant the. Yeah, we'll have a Toy Story 2, Toy Story 3 conversation some other
Okay.
day.
Yeah, we'll have the Hitler conversation.
Today on Hitler, Will Smith.
This is a very, this is a very Hitler friendly episode. You notice that?
There's just
If
one
anyone in
video.
this audience is averse to talk shows, leave now. All but 4 people leave.
Okay, continue.
No, there's one
Well,
video.
I
no
got-
inscription, all caps, Hitler cast.
I skipped Monsters U, and as I mentioned earlier, I was not excited after Cars 2, which I did see later, Brave, which was a big disappointment, Monsters U, which was, it was okay, it was fun.
Monsters
Popcorn.
University was starting to return to form.
Yeah.
It was okay. Inside Out, I wasn't excited about. Walking out of the movie, how can I give it a better statement? I've spent at least $50 in tickets on it.
Right.
I've seen it 3 times. I'll watch it again. If you guys were here and you said, "Hey, you want to go see it tomorrow?" I'd be like, "Yeah." So, it was an amazing movie. It touched me in so many ways that I can't even get into. It was so intelligently done. It was so smart. It's gonna get my number 1 only because, and it's tough because Toy Story was so perfect. But it has to do, and this is why I went through all this, and I'm sorry for anybody listening, but it has to do with how they were released within my lifetime. And it hit me at a point in my life where my kid is about that age. I see it as an adult, as a parent, not an adult, but as a parent. And I look
absolutely.
at it, and I look back at it, and I go, "This is so perfect. This is so right." And it's something that I wouldn't have appreciated. Like if I watch Toy Story now, I don't appreciate it the same way as I did when I was 17. Because I don't have those nostalgic memories the same way. When I saw Toy Story, I was like, oh, well, that's the toy I used to play with. This is so awesome. They made a movie, and they didn't just, create something. They actually chose a toy that I remember growing up with. I can connect to this kid that is the third-party character in this. Is not the direct character. And that made the movie better. And Inside Out did the exact same thing for me at just the right time in my life. So it's my number one. And that's my call. I'll pass it. I'm sorry for rambling so long, but thanks.
I'd say that's a pretty good point to wrap up, guys.
Well, not yet. I got something to say.
We're 3 hours, Blue Dragon 5. Wrap it up.
Another one word.
We're only allowed 4. Remember that.
Okay, well, just real quick, I want to say something else.
Don't make me leave and then come back an hour later.
Okay, but seriously, I want to say something else. I got a big surprise for all of you afterwards, so
Is it cookies?
payoff. No, it's not cookies. So I got like a news thing to drop on you. None of you have heard yet. You're all gonna be real excited about. But let me say this real quick. So I was just with the ending. I mentioned it before, so I can make sure I've said it too. Again, I love the shaky cam at the end. Really drives home the emotional point. And
oh yeah.
I just love that I didn't do the conventional. Just last thing for the conventional counter, England. So I love how they didn't do the thing where the parents were mad at her for running away because they were so happy she came back and she just broke down because it's been real stressful. It's that hug moment that we've seen in the trailers, but it paid off so well in the movie though. Really sweet moment, just kind of brought the film home. Of course, our hilarious thing we're seeing inside all the emotions. Heads, again, brilliant film as we've been saying in excess. Now, you guys ready for a big surprise? I found this ad after I saw the movie and I was really excited about it.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, looks like on the DVD/Blu-ray that thankfully Pixar can do much better than Disney. We're getting a short that is with the we're getting a short in tune with the movie. So not just a lava short, we're getting an original short, kind of like how Monsters University had the whole how they had the
Party Central?
Yeah, Party Central, but not
theaters. That was
I know that was in theaters, but kind of like something still set in the universe, though.
Yeah, one of those.
They're gonna have a short about Riley going on a date. So it's gonna be a short about. I don't know if it's gonna be with that one kid she was just getting the water from at the end or not, but it's
girl,
freaking out like it's doomsday. Defcon 1, Defcon 1. Ah! But seriously, it's gonna be Riley on a date. I can't wait to see the short. It's more in the Inside Out universe. We'll see.
Okay, this kind of let's just end this on this subject. What do you guys feel about a potential for a sequel? Because they definitely open it up for one.
They do, but no. Please, no.
Yeah, I would say, look, do they have the potential? Because at the end, the whole fun little line of the whole, well, she's 12. What could happen? I don't think we need it. It'd be fun to see more shorts. Again, I want to see how this one short turns out before I can really just firmly say, let's get more shorts. But I think I don't put it past them because I'm a little more open to the Pixar sequel things. I'm looking forward to it. Sounds like they got a good idea for Nemo too and stuff coming out. And Toy Story 4 being the biggest Inside Out at this point in time. Much like what Marvel does. They keep taking riskier and riskier movies, which pay off big time. And Pixar right now, Inside has been the riskiest thing they've done so far. They got more stuff on the horizon. It's going to top that with, of course, Finding Dory, and the biggest one ever. This is going to be the hugest. Well, I mean, I guess I should say immediately next is they're all going to be riskier after this point. They're pushing the boundaries even further. And Toy Story 4 is going to be the hugest gamble they've ever done, making a fourth movie the most successful.
I wouldn't use that terminology.
We'll find the biggest.
It's not a big gamble. It's critically a big gamble. Financially, absolutely not.
I don't mean financially. I mean critically. I meant critically. That's what I meant. Did I say financially?
No, you just said.
No, you just did clarify.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it'll be a huge. I think it'll be a big gamble because they're making a sequel to the most non-necessary movie that's not need a sequel ever.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Toy Story 3 is like a perfect ending in cinematic history, to my knowledge. One of the perfect endings to a trilogy in cinematic history. You don't need
Oh, I will to this day say that Toy Story, like, it's maybe like Toy Story and Back to the Future
Yeah.
are like head to head for the greatest trilogy.
Yeah, I'll say that, you know.
Toy Story 4 may need glasses.
So I'm just saying, Toy Story 4, I think, in my opinion, is going to be the biggest creative risk Pixar's taking, seeing if they can keep their word about only come back to do a sequel if they get a good story in mind. So, you know.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'm assuming they had a really good story to justify coming back. And
Toy Story 4, Sid may need glasses.
I still think Toy Story would work as a sequel.
Glasses with booze?
Of course, we know.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, anyone you were saying?
Yeah, I was saying it may need glasses with booze to watch it. And I think that's Blue's point, though, is that's why it's a gamble, is because it could completely suck. They ended the trilogy perfectly. So I mean, how do you top that? How do you top? That's the Star Wars gamble, frankly, when you think about it. Star Wars looks awesome right now, but I mean, are we back to the prequels? You know,
it's not going to be worse than the prequels. We know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We know that.
But well, I mean, even if it's on par with Episode 3, which wasn't terrible. Notice I didn't say it was good. I just said it wasn't terrible.
I'm with you with that. I mean, there's some good stuff in Episode 3.
Episode 3 was my very first midnight screening, so I do have nostalgia for that.
No.
But you know, I think Blue's right. It's a big gamble for them. It really is. But I think the gamble is more for Lasseter. And what worried me going into Inside Out, like I said earlier, was the fact that they've been batting so low. And you know, Inside Out, to me, I kind of agree with where Blue's coming from. I'm excited for where this is going. So sorry.
Yeah, and this again, I would say Toy Story 4 is the first one. Not just first, because you know everyone's always mixed on cars. But again, we're not going to get there because we're trying to get to the end here. But just with Toy Story 4, that one could be the one that sinks them. Obviously, they can come back from. I'm saying that one's going to sink their flawless record. Because Cars 2 was financially very, very successful. But you know, we'll see. Toy Story 4 could be the one that sinks, and that would be the one that takes away all their credibility for a long time. At least basically they'd have to build it up for like another. Pixar has the ridiculous record of having the most consecutively good films, at least critically and financially. A great consecutive line there.
I feel like Cars 2 broke it.
Again, I don't know. I still say if it has to flop on both levels, or at least really flop on one level, it was like what was it?
Yeah, and Cars 2 really flopped on one level.
And no, actually, no. Cars 2 was a 70%, wasn't it?
I don't know. It
Probably
lower than
I thought it was just got like a C rating, which isn't a total.
Allow me.
Yeah.
To go to Rotten Tomatoes.
I don't know. It might have changed now and again, so it might actually be lower. I don't know.
It wouldn't have changed by now.
I think one of the issues that Pixar has is it's the Lamborghini or the Ferrari of animated features. And so when they get into things like sequels, it better be damn good. And when they turn out something like Cars 2, even though it's better than like it must be bad. You're laughing.
Yeah, it was really bad.
First of all, let me
I was hoping for 70.
saying,
I was hoping for 70. Okay, I admit it.
let me preface this by saying that as soon as I went on Rotten Tomatoes, I saw a picture of somebody cosplaying as Kermit the Frog as the Terminator. And
Are you
secondly,
serious?
yes, and it might be the best thing I've ever seen. But
I'm
secondly,
looking that up.
secondly, Cars 2 currently has a 39%.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I was afraid. Well, still,
I mean, that's
financially,
not
it's
like
not
Adam Sandler movie bad, but that's pretty bad.
Jesus Christ. This opening weekend.
Oh god, I'm looking at this Kermit thing. Oh my god.
Okay, I need to freaking see this.
The
Okay,
highest rated movie
right,
this
it's
weekend
cosplay.
has a 54%.
Wait, what?
The highest rated movie of this weekend is 54%.
Oh, does that mean Minions is a critical bomb?
Yep.
Ooh.
54. Just go on RottenTomatoes.com.
Oh,
it's right on the.
Only.
It's right there.
Well, just
Minions is Rod and BlueDragonFive.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Okay, I see.
We'll see.
Your thing looks brilliant.
Okay, so
Maybe
listen,
there will be a Kubo teaser.
I also love the person cosplayed as Sadness.
Yeah.
okay, so just kind of, I guess, wrapping up here in the wrapping up point.
Yes, please
so
do.
Inside Out. Okay, so Inside Out, obviously, it's a new standard for Pixar. Hopefully, a glimmer of hope for the future of more successful films and taking bigger gambles like Inside Out. Again, I told you the whole background of this movie and how it was really kind of a new, basically getting back to their kind of roots of storytelling, which was just fantastic as it's always been. But you can challenge up to those 11th hour decisions that really impact the film and make this great masterpiece we got here of Inside Out. It's a great film start to finish. You can rewatch it God knows how many times. Again, I will still attest this is the smartest Pixar film, if not one of the best. It's up there. It's definitely up there. It's in top 5. If anything, it's phenomenal. It's fantastic. We get flattered for another hour, but we're not. Hopefully it's going to echo in other films of being just awesome as this film. It's a great thing. Again, Pete Docter did an outstanding job. It was a personal project, and boy, did it pay off. Came from a place of love for the father, and it works perfectly. And that's the movie Inside Out.
Yes,
all right. Yeah, I just want to thank all you guys for being here because this is seriously probably one of the better podcasts that we've done, just in terms of the amount of the sheer volume of content and good discussion here is really good.
Yeah, thank you so much, England, for your insights.
Yeah, England, definitely, and for opening up like that. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I think we need some joy.
Yes, an
Weird
Adventure Blue
style.
Dude. Would you like to do the honors and play us out?
Triple dinkum, triple dinkum.
You can turn this off whenever you want.